This is the GPL podcast, part of the Pull Tab Sports family. Let's get this bandwagon going, folks.
Take
Come
that,
on.
Mr. Negative.
Actually unmute the mic because I had us muted. Live stuff. I laughed. It's not exhibition. It's not exhibition. Real. Live from the Ralph. Here we are, folks.
You know, I think there is some shenanigans happening in the goalie community. Are you going to speak on that?
In the goalie community. Oh,
Former goalie?
You know I got to ride with Goalie Nation, but
now, here's Jupiter and Vigo. Good evening and welcome to the GPL podcast, episode number 278. Jekyll and Hyde weekend, Vigs. That's about all that can really describe it. A 5-1 loss and a 6-1 win. Crazy.
Yeah, Friday was one of those games, you know, with the odd start time, you just kind of wonder what you're going to get out of these college hockey players. They're not used to that kind of routine. And as I was watching the first period, I was reminded of the Gophers. They do this drill where they just change lines. You know, they get on the ice, they put the puck deep, they get off the ice, next group comes on. The group that's on the ice retrieves it, gets over the red line, puts it deep, and they change. And that's what it looked like for the first 10 minutes of that game. It just looked like they were just going through the motions, changing lines, and Ohio State came to play and took the W.
Well, after Friday's performance, Bob said that was the worst effort he has ever seen by a Gopher team. Let's find out if it was better than the worst game that Jack Ramsey's ever had. Let's bring him in. Jack, are you glad that you may not be part of the worst team to ever play for Bob?
yeah, like when you texted that to me on Friday night, I was like, yes. I don't know if you would have said we were, but I mean, of all the rosters that Bob has had under him, my senior year is probably one of the lower ranking ones. But yeah, I don't know.
How's it going, man? How you doing?
It's good. It's good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. It's been a while. It feels like it's been over a year for sure. But it's good to be back.
Well, it's good to have you on. So crazy. I was texting you. Okay, I was texting you and a couple other guys on Friday night. I'm like, yeah, Bob was not happy. I was like, this is awful. Gosh, I wish Kester and Nevers would be playing better. Saturday night, Kester puts 2 in. I texted you guys right away. Yeah, I'd like to take that back now.
I saw you had you have the tweet on Saturday. You're like, this is a team that can play in April. And I'm like, yep.
Well, hold on. During the game, that was Chris Eckes texting. I went to a high school game Saturday night, so I missed most of the game. So I wasn't tweeting that game. So it was probably him. But Viggs, he's not wrong. I mean, Saturday night, I thought Bobby kind of stacked some lines, and they were very aggressive, and it wasn't really that close.
Well, I'm pretty sure the film session on Saturday afternoon was not very kind. You know, you look at some of the efforts that led to the Ohio State goals on Friday, and those are effort and detail and hard work situations where college hockey players are pretty good across the land. And if you're not ready to play and compete, you're going to get embarrassed from time to time. And it was almost like the Gophers thought that they could just kind of go through the motions on Friday and get away with it. And you look at Penn State's record, they're beating a lot of college hockey teams. So obviously that wasn't the recipe for success. I think Saturday you saw just a harder attention and detail. You saw defensemen closing out rushes, getting the puck back, and transitioning much quicker. And those are the things that you have to do if you want to be a team in April. And throughout the weekend, we did see the talent that makes this a team that's trying to get there and has a good chance. You know, the one player I thought who had good nights both times was Sam Renzel. You know, he was very consistent. I think they were just trying to watch his minutes a little bit on Friday night to keep him fresh for the second half. We saw them lean on him pretty heavily down the stretch in the first half.
Jack, I'm sure you've had series just like this when you played at the University of Minnesota, or even, post Minnesota, before Minnesota, and you've done some coaching now. Do you kind of understand the coach's point of view a little bit more now that you've matured and done a little coaching yourself on this, how much effort really makes a difference?
Yeah. And it's like, there's stupid luck on that's hockey, right? No plays are ever the same. So there's a lot of luck there too. There's special teams, are the refs going to give you a couple more that night? Is your goalie? But a lot of it does come from effort. Like you finish up a game and you go and look at video and you watch some clips and you think you played hard, but then you see some of these clips and you're like, what the F was I doing? And it's just, and sometimes your brain takes a back seat, and I don't know. You can really motivate guys with effort, with a Saturday morning video session from all the stuff that they had to watch Friday. So that was pretty easy to get them going, I'm sure.
But, kids are young. Sometimes they don't always get it in their heads. But it just seems like, okay, if you do what the coaches want you to do, you get that effort, look at the results you get. Let's try to replicate that 99% of the time. Nothing for 100% of the time, but this up and down, I mean, the players are just as angry on Friday night if they could just kind of get it together. But some of that is just growing up and being young.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that you can attribute it to, right? I mean, they had kind of a snooze fest series the weekend before. I don't know how much that weighs into it, but it definitely can. It's no emotion at all. But sometimes you kind of see that the other way around when you have like a really high series or high emotion series, and then you kind of go maybe play Mercyhurst the next weekend, and you're like, we got to go play these guys after or something like that. But it's maybe they're lulled to sleep and kind of still coming off that Christmas break, getting the guys back together. I don't know, finding the chemistry is the right word, but as guys come back from World Juniors week 2, and you get more guys back from injury and stuff, that can attribute to it. But these are all just excuses.
Steve says, stay with the lines this weekend, maybe. If they stack that well, run with it. What do you think, Viggs? He did kind of stack it in the top 2 lines a little bit and kind of went down to more of a fourth line. It wasn't, I would say, it was more of a traditional type of thing. It's, on the list, this is kind of your fourth line for tonight, not who's the fourth line tonight.
Well, I think he's been trying to balance this team so much leading up to this point, especially with all the injuries. He wants to get that 4-line rotation going. He wants that development to happen. As we get to this part of the calendar, though, you might start honing in on a lineup that you want to take in the playoffs, and you try to figure out other 2 lines that we can lean on a little heavier than the others. And I think as your special teams start to solidify, that makes it easier too. Like, who are the power play guys that we want to keep together? We want to try to keep those lines together. Who are the penalty killers? Keep them on separate lines. These are things that you start to think about as a coach as you get to the postseason, how you want to construct your lineup.
Who are the penalty killers, Viggs? Because they're 60th in the country.
That is a good question. They'll get a big one, Cal Thomas, back this week. Bob has said that Falloon and Thomas are going to be back. I think that should help them immensely on their penalty kill. He is one of their best defenders at closing down plays, using his body, taking away the lane for passes across the middle, defending in front of the net. Cal Thomas is an elite defender, so he should help that out quite a bit. And we'll see. A big part of penalty kill is faceoffs, and you need your centers to win those draws to buy you that first 30, 40 seconds of penalty kill time. And Minnesota struggled there quite a bit this season. So maybe once Paulson gets back to full strength, maybe he and Huglin are your 2 main centers for PK, and we'll go from there.
Jack, is it more than just a couple players, though, for the penalty kill? I mean, I don't remember Minnesota ever being this bad. I mean, they started out 57th. They kind of did 75% again this weekend. Now they're 60th. They can move a little bit up and down, but it would take a lot to get into the top half of the country now.
Yeah, and once we get into late March and April, your percentage doesn't matter too. It's just all about getting hot and having everything kind of set in the right systems for the teams you're playing. But getting guys back helps, but it doesn't really, because it's more systematic breakdowns, you'd say, than just pointing at one guy and say he's the reason that we're at 75% or whatever, we're at 80%. It's not one guy coming back is not going to fix that, because as good as Cal is on the PK, if a forward blows coverage and lets a puck go across the seam, Cal's not going to do anything for you. So yeah, face-offs are huge, and getting the puck out the first time when you have the opportunity. I remember I've seen that multiple times in games. Like, you get it, the defenseman's trying to clear it 200 from behind the goal line when you can just share the clear. So it's just these little details that they kind of gotta work out, and kind of getting late into the season, start working on those details. You kind of want to let the guys play at this point, but there's things that can be fixed.
I do like your point though, Viggs, when you talk about faceoffs, because Minnesota has struggled traditionally the last 5-10 years with faceoffs. And, when you're trying to kill a penalty, defensive zone faceoffs doesn't get any bigger. When you're trying to get a goal late in a game, offensive zone faceoffs, or on a power play, offensive zone faceoffs make a big difference. And when they don't happen, it's kind of like, oh, we have to go chase the puck or whatever it may be. It's a pretty critical thing.
Yeah, and we knew coming into the year that they were going to miss Jackson Nelson. They let him take so many draws last year. You were hoping some other guys would step up. And Jimmy Clark is one of those guys that you're hoping becomes a center who can win draws. He hasn't yet become that guy. And so I know it's something they continue to work at. Every practice I'm at the end of team drills, there's Ben Gordon dropping pucks for guys in the middle of the ice, kind of coaching them up on the little things they need to change with their draws. And it's going to be critical for them to figure it out as the end of the year comes up.
I saw a chat earlier. Do they go with one goalie, Jack, or do they keep sticking with the rotation? The big question right now.
It is a good question too, because I don't know. I don't like the idea of going into games, Big Ten playoffs, and in April of who we gonna play tomorrow, because I don't think it helps the goalies either mentally figuring out who's gonna go. So it's a good problem to have in the regular season, having a good tandem, but you want to ride one hot guy, because it's a little different than the NHL too, because it's a full series, but it's a one crack at it. I don't know. It's been the same thing every Friday, Soulier on Saturday, the entire season. But even though it was an ass kicking on Saturday, Soulier kind of 38 saves, kind of didn't stand on his head, but a heck of a performance. And yeah, I'd like to see one guy moving toward the end of the year.
And I know, Viggs, you've mentioned that they want to see Airy, since he's the younger guy. They want to give him as many chances as possible, because he's going to be here next year. Soulier is going to be gone. But do you think Bob will eventually get to the situation? Maybe he gives Soulier 2 games like he did Airy earlier this season, or he gives one of them 2 games.
Well, Bob said that he wants to give that goalie an opportunity to prove himself over 2 games rather than just try to guess at the end of the year who it's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be this weekend, because, Airy wasn't the problem on Friday. It wasn't like he played a bad game. He just didn't play a great game. And so do you do more harm than good by sending a message into this Notre Dame series that, hey, it's not good enough, we're giving Liam Friday night and see how it goes? That's always the hard thing with goalies is, the mental makeup is something you don't know very well. It's hard to evaluate. And is it going to do you any benefit to do that at this point of the year? Now, if Airy were to have a bad game, it's certainly more understandable to give Soulier 2 games. But I don't think that's happened yet.
I just don't like that it's you play well, like stats in the beginning of the year. Soulier had the losses because they weren't putting up the goals for him in those games. It's not his fault. But I don't like the fact that Soulier puts up a great game on Saturday, and I think you reward the guy. screw the Friday, Saturday script. I'm okay with splitting them up to this point, but give him the start on Friday is my point. And if he is lights out, unbelievable, then But if they win and he, gives up 4 or something like that, a couple sketchy ones, great, we got the win. But now Ari's going to get the chance to roll with it. And if he has an unbelievable Saturday, then he gets to start Friday. And same thing, like if a guy can put 2 really, really good performances back together, let him keep rolling.
Either way, Viggs, he's gonna eventually he'll probably make a decision on goalie. Eventually he'll probably stick to some lines. It's just that time of year. It's business time. It's crunch time. Time to go, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's 12 games to go. I think you still have time to give one more weekend where you stick to the script and go from there. You're always looking for more information. I don't know if one goalie has really shown themselves as the number one, and that's what Bob always says. Is like, I don't pick number one goalies. I give everybody a chance. We go from there. And I think we see, with the lines, Bob has given guys chances throughout the year, and he's starting to narrow that pool a little bit. He's given defensemen lots of ice time. Maybe he's going to narrow that pool a little bit where it is. But I just don't know if we're at that stage yet with goalie where someone's clearly ahead of the other.
I think if we see anything, it won't be this weekend, like you said. But at Michigan State, that may be a good time to pick one and go. Because it doesn't get any bigger than at Michigan State 2 weeks, Viggs.
I definitely think that would be an interesting game to try Soulier on Friday and see how it goes. And if he plays well, he gets Saturday.
Yes. If a kid wins on Friday at Michigan State, how are you going to tank that guy out?
Yeah.
Right.
There's no way.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. Because, I still think goaltending is kind of the weakness. You look at the other top tier teams, Michigan State, Boston College, they've kind of got what they need in goal, Viggs.
They do. And I understand the fan perspective on Soulier being a fun goalie to watch. He's definitely more active. He's definitely has to be more aggressive on his reads, but he's also the smaller goalie where there are holes sometimes. And if there's a lot of traffic, that's a goalie that's going to have to fight more. The size difference between the goalies is pretty significant. And while Ari doesn't look as flashy as Soulier does in net, he is the bigger, more technically sound goalie. They're 2 different types. So it's hard to compare them, apples to apples here because they are a little bit different.
All right. So a split this weekend. Not the greatest, but then the greatest. So up and down. We got Notre Dame coming in this weekend, but you're back in the booth this weekend, aren't you, Jack?
I am. Yeah, I sure am. I'm excited for it. It's been quite a while. I got my back-to-back weeks, and now I'm going to have to shake the rust off on Friday.
I didn't recognize you last time you came in because you were just so cleanly shaven. You looked like you were 5 years old.
I told my wife a few hours ago, I was like, I got to get my hair cut this week. Can I get the haircut?
It's radio. It's not TV.
I know, but the freaking headset, you got the long hair. I'm like, I feel like an idiot. And it's just,
who knows?
Yeah. It looks like it's going to be a pretty close to a sellout crowd. And I believe it's, I don't know if it's Friday or Saturday. I have to check. It's there's an alumni event at the game too, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to sneak out of the booth and say hi to anybody. Probably not. So that's too bad. But
Vigo, you could cover for him, couldn't you? You could go over there and help him out, cover for him.
I think Wally could probably handle all by himself if he,
I think
if you
okay.
had to make some connections. But did you take any notes from Cappy on Saturday when he started doing play-by-play of the Michigan State-Penn State game as the Gopher Buckeye game got out of hand? Did you notice that, Jupe, at all?
I didn't.
Yeah, that's interesting. Calling the game that you're not actually calling was a new one for me.
Like Red Zone. It's got all the games going on at the same time.
Yep. He thought he was back in Chicago at the Big Ten Studios.
Yeah, I had to go and watch the Gopher game back because I was at the very last Jefferson Kennedy game ever. Kennedy shut down their program after 60 years. old coach Tom Satterdahl was there, and he's like, and I talked to him for a little bit, and I was saying, yeah, I'm a Jaguar through and through, but it's just terribly sad to see, a 60-year program go away. And just like we saw, Apple Valley and Burnsville merge, and we've had historical schools from Minneapolis and St. Paul and Viggs. The high school teams are just getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, it seems like St. Paul Johnson has been on the cutting board for a while. It's always tough, the changing demographics of hockey. I think, the more AAA type stuff that we have going on limits the player pool that chooses to continue playing hockey. So it's just a difficult sign of the times. I think the community model is what makes Minnesota hockey so great, and why we have so many players that love the game and play the game. And, it's not always the race to find the best 12-year-old. You're trying to get kids to be the best 18, 20, 22-year-olds that you can. So, get them to play the game and play it for as long as they can. And it's tough when you see programs like Kennedy have to shut down.
Definitely is, but it was fun to get back to the Bloomington Ice Garden, saw a couple old high school buddies, and it was a fun night because Jefferson won 6-0, so that's good. Poor Kennedy, but not really poor Kennedy. So
twist the knife.
It's old rivalries, Jack. I mean, you've got from like 1980 through probably 93 or 4. It's like Jefferson or Kennedy went to state tournament out of one section every season. I would go to the Met Center and see these section finals with 15,000 people there.
And did I see that your Jefferson guy, Mike Crowley, is going to be playing this weekend? Is that right? Is he playing in the hockey day?
The hockey day. That's next weekend, I believe.
Next weekend? Okay, 2 weekends.
My guy, Mike Crowley, is. I know Mr. Shearhorn was asked to play. Why weren't you asked to play, Jack? You can't play next week?
No, I think they looked up the hockey DB of all the alumni, and I don't think I made the cut on that one. Hey, maybe I'll do play-by-play.
I need to talk to somebody. So Viggs, you and I can get in there, because I'm sure there's some weird credential thing. I'd love to get in there and see that game. Get some photos of it. It looks like a fun alumni, Gopher hockey alumni against kind of a bunch of other school alumni playing each other. What is it, the Friday night before hockey day, Viggs?
I believe so. That's kind of been one of the traditions of hockey days to have a little bit of a collegiate alumni game underway. So I know Shockpee's getting excited for that one. I was talking to Brian Deutsch. He might be around for that event as well. So.
Oh, really? Well, good for him. Good for him.
5:30 on Friday.
Yep, that's when they're at Michigan State too. Looks like Paul Martin's playing, so it looks like he's not going on that road trip, Viggs.
It's prioritizing. It's good for Paul.
Did you that defensive core? Oh my gosh. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty quick. You look at this list and there's no. I mean, all the forwards. If any of the forwards that I knew are invited, they're still playing. So
that is true. That is true. I'd have to look at the list. Well, who was it here? Let me see.
Bonin, Clymer, Westrom, Kowalska, Vanek's playing.
Vanek, Nate Miller, Ryan Patoli, Danny Ehrman, Mike Hofel, Geyer, Nate Kahn, and Tony Lucia. But look at the defense. Crowley, Goligoski, Ballard, Stevens, Harrington, Vanelli, Leopold, and Martin.
It's a lot of NHL games played.
But look at the collegiate alumni. You got Zach Parisi there, Mark Parrish, Ryan Malone. I mean, Marty Surdich. He was so good in college, Viggs. He was amazing. So that looks like it's going to be a fun. Alex Stalock in goal for the collegiate alumni. Looks like a fun thing. So I'm looking forward. Hopefully I can get down there for that, and we'll see how it goes. But now we got to talk about some of our sponsors here, Viggs, and we're going to lead it off with Cub Foods. Tell us what's going on with Cub.
Yeah, Cub Foods. I stocked up for that Vikings game on Monday night. Went down to my local Quarry Cub. At least the food was good.
Yeah.
I wasn't missing anything. I go in there, everything I'm looking for, hamburgers, dogs, brats, veggies, fruit. It's all there. If you're looking for some of that Jimmy's dill dip, Cub's your spot. If you need some drinks to go along with your parties, Cubs got a lot of liquor stores now too. So they're big supporters of Minnesota sports, Gophers, Pull Tab Sports, and the Gopher Puck Live podcast. Check them out, Cub Foods.
And of course, we've also got State 1981 Dreams of a Dynasty, Viggs.
Yeah, fictional retelling from the South St. Paul Packer perspective. 21 tourney appearances, no titles. Could it be the year in this fictional retelling? Check it out if you're a big high school hockey fan. It's on Amazon. gopherpucklive.com/1981.
Yep, I just added that just a little while ago. A nice little redirect, a little easier to remember than that extremely long Amazon address. So yeah, gopherpucklive.com/1981 to get your copy. All right, it's time for Vig's top 20 this week, and not a lot of change at the top. Viggs, you didn't want to move Minnesota down any after Friday?
Yeah, I mean, we had a couple splits up top. BC also split with Merrimack. Minnesota split with Ohio State. You're starting to see a big book of business on these schools.
Mm-hmm.
The losses to those teams didn't really impact them very much from the pairwise perspective, from the RPI perspective. It's going to take more than just one loss, I think, to mix things up too much in the top four. We'll see what happens as we get deeper into these conference schedules, but it's really looking like these top 7 teams are locking in on those top 7 spots. There's almost like a little bit of a gulf there in all the ratings between Denver and Ohio State, who I've moved up now into the top 10. They have a couple quality wins now over Michigan and Minnesota. I was impressed with them. They're big, they skate well, their portal additions have been good, and they get good goaltending.
And that was their first regular season loss was against the Gophers Saturday night. They were like 9-0-1 or something like that. Yeah,
they're pretty good. They've beaten a lot of the teams they need to beat, and got some big wins here the last couple weekends.
I know Boston University's been kind of up and down. They're up in the top 5 early, down into the teens, back up around 10, down, back up. They seem to be kind of all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, for a lot of our Western people, they're a lot like Michigan. They have a lot of young talent. The discipline isn't always there for them. Their special teams play, their power plays not been performing this year despite all the talent that they have. So we'll see what the Terriers have at the end of the year. But we saw a lot of teams in the middle of the top 20 have some tough losses this last weekend. I dropped Colorado College and North Dakota out of my top 20. They're just struggling. It's going to be hard for either of those teams to make the tournament unless they go on a real tear or win their conference tournament at the end.
That's fine for North Dakota. That will send Minnesota to Fargo then.
Be a lot easier to go to Fargo.
But you got that big drop by St. Cloud too. St. Cloud lost their goalie, so that's hurting them so far.
Yeah, tough weekend for the Huskies. The NCHC's on some thin ice here. It's looking like Hockey East could get 5-6 bids in the tournament if NCHC keeps having these issues. You look at the standings for that league, 1 to 8 is separated by 6 points. That is not something you're used to seeing in that league. So pretty interesting stuff.
How do you think Minnesota looks here, Jack? 3rd spot, probably about right for them right now, or what do you think?
Yeah, it feels right. It's kind of tough to gauge. We're in this Big Ten bubble, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, really not impressed with the non-conference games this year at all. There wasn't really any challenges there. I think I was looking at it, and we've only played 2 teams in the top 10 in the pairwise, and we're 500 against, and it's Michigan State and Ohio. So we haven't really played anybody. And there's some years where it's a question mark like that until we get to tourney time. And we'll see as we go down the stretch. Now that we kind of get a few good games, we'll get Michigan again, Michigan State, and we'll play these better teams. But I like fun non-conference games, and I know there's kind of no reason to play them too. And well, I mean, actually, probably better if you're playing these really high caliber ones. But their strength of schedule, that's what I was looking up, is 13. That seems a little low for a Gopher team.
Yeah, well, a team like Duluth is usually a bit higher. Viggs, that's hurt them. Omaha has been better. Omaha's been better recently. They played them, in Vegas, lost to them. but yet, now they sweep CC. Just a lot of craziness actually last weekend. Like you said, the BC loss. Minnesota State lost to Northern Michigan, which had one win on the season. College hockey was a little goofy last weekend.
A little goofy. It was probably one of those reminders of why it's such a great sport to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Is because, you never know what you're going to get with some of these teams, especially at this point of the year, where things are a little unsettled with the teams as they come back together after break. Maybe guys come back from injuries, guys who were playing aren't playing, guys who maybe don't have their legs are now in a situation where the other teams are going. It's different. I agree with Jack. It wasn't a great non-conference schedule this year for Minnesota, but part of that is some of the teams that they wanted to schedule didn't want to schedule Minnesota this year.
Yeah.
As you build schedules in college hockey, especially coming out of COVID, there's a bunch of scheduling issues that had to be hashed out and figured out. And looking at the scheduling agreements that Minnesota signed for this year, a lot of them were in September. I know people get upset about Minnesota being late on their schedule release. Some of these games weren't finalized until just before the season, with schools like St. Thomas and Mercyhurst. It's challenging sometimes to build schedules.
So, it must have been Monday or Tuesday last week. Jack, you sent me a text. You're like, Steve Johnson had a liver transplant. And Shearhorn texted me just a few minutes later. You guys right back. And then Nick Angels texted me. I put up a little story on them. The fans and the community has really come through, haven't they?
Yeah, big time. And it's been awesome to see as I coached with him at Minnetonka, so known about it for quite a while, and it's kind of hard, especially for that guy, to keep it under wraps while you're dealing with this thing when there's so many people in your life that would support you, and obviously everybody's come out of the woodwork completely to step up, especially the GoFundMe. I'm sure his phone has been blowing up nonstop, so that was really good to see. But he's
I'm just showing the GPL homepage right now, showing we've got a button at the top. We had a little article on it a little further. Yeah, there's Steve's article. Just trying to make people aware of it if they haven't been. I saw Paul Martin put in a big donation yesterday, which was just awesome. It's been so great. Look at that there. Let me see if I can share this tab. There we go. Up to 93,000 now. Wow. Vegas, the hockey community never fails to amaze us.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Angel talks about that. Being part of the Gopher Hockey Alumni Association and being a part of this group is a special thing. And people step up for each other and help each other out. And, Steve is a really good-natured person and a real giver. Hearing about his journey, about becoming a Gopher, and then his next step of his life has been really cool to listen to and follow. And this surprising setback is just nothing he did to make this happen. And so to see the support to help him get through it is really neat and special. It's kind of fun to go through and see all the names of people that are helping him out.
I like that.
Especially for a Gopher hockey fan to see that, it's really neat.
Yeah, I've seen names all the way back to the 70s, at least, players. There might be a few that I didn't even know, but that I passed by. But I haven't looked at the list lately, but it is a very cool list. So
if people haven't checked in, I know Steve posted kind of a little update recently about his journey and how things are going, and things are looking good after the surgery and the recovery, and he'll be in Rochester for a little bit to be closely followed. These organ transplants are always kind of dicey. You're never quite sure how your body's going to react to that new organism trying to join it.
Pretty crazy that he walked out of the hospital. I think it was 4 days, walked out on his own out of the hospital.
I just have a hard time fathoming that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the medical procedures have become much better. Things that used to stay overnight and 2-3 nights, you're out in a couple hours. But there's a liver transplant. That's still just shocks me that he was able to walk out of there so quickly.
Yeah. Major organ, just crazy. we were playing Matamidi last week, and like it was an easy pregame speech to the to the team that Goldsworthy was talking about. Is like, if you can't get up for this one, like, I don't know, you just had one of your coaches who wishes he could be here more than anything, just walk out of the hospital after getting an organ, transplant. Like, you should be able to get up for this one.
Just amazing. And we're going to have another organ transplant on the show next week, Viggs. Pat Micheletti's going to be joining us. I bet you he can give quite a bit of insight on that type of procedure.
Yeah, and just a reminder for everybody: if you're interested in being an organ donor, you can really
renew your license. Life. Just check it off.
Check it off and be part of that. You never know.
You don't. Well, before we get to Notre Dame, Viggs, we do have to talk about a couple more sponsors here. Let's talk about Jimmy's.
Jimmy's, as I was saying in my cub read earlier, they've got the dill dip. If you're trying to eat healthy, you got a party, I recommend it. If you're a friend of John King, he might send you a dill pick along the way. You never know. It's the holiday season as we celebrate 2025. Check it out. It's more popular than ranch. I mean, check out this dill dip. It's great. Local family, local Minnesota company supports us. Check them out. Don't ya be messing with my dressing.
And of course, we can't forget Lunch Bucket Hockey, man.
Yeah, Lunch Bucket Hockey, hard-working, grit and grind players, just like Nick Michael, who got his first goal with the Gophers the other week. Those are people that do anything for their teammates. And if you want an apparel brand that matches that kind of ethos, check out lunchbuckethockey.com. I've seen some of the custom jerseys they've done on Instagram. Check them out on there. They're pretty consistent with showing their stuff. I saw some hockey yak jackets with some Lunch Bucket stuff the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Cool stuff. Another couple local guys who wanted to start this company from the ground up. Support them.
And of course, we thank Lunch Bucket Hockey and Jimmy's for sponsoring the GPL podcast. Notre Dame this weekend, Viggs. This is the last hurrah for Jeff Jackson.
One heck of a coach. He's accomplished a lot over the years. He says he's not done with hockey. He's just done with this phase of his hockey. And to see them pull out a win against Michigan this last weekend, maybe a little surprising, but also at the same time, not surprising. Michigan can be undisciplined, and Notre Dame can take advantage of that. I think Minnesota, after their shock with Ohio State on Friday, will be a little more prepared for this weekend. It's home games. Should be a good matchup. Notre Dame always brings a lot of fans to Mariucci as well, so could be a good atmosphere.
Oh, Jack, the Don's going to be there. The Don's always there when Notre Dame's there.
Oh, yeah, he's got all the ties to it. Yeah, it is weird. Notre Dame, they always have so many Minnesota ties, so many Minnesota players on their rosters, which is definitely fun for the players too, going up against high school teammates and high school rivals to get those games. So it's going to be sold out, I think. So it's me rocking. They always put up a good fight.
They always seem to play us very well here, Viggs. I don't remember them Minnesota sweeping Notre Dame very often, even here. It seems like we've had better luck at Notre Dame than here.
Yes, so they've played very well on the road against this team. At home, it's always something doesn't quite go right. I think there's a little bit of extra bounce in the Irish step when they play at Mariucci.
Maybe it's that Minnesota thing, like Jack says.
Yeah, there are a lot of players that want to show that they made the right choice by going away, and then they get to come back and play in front of their friends and family and old coaches and things like that, and it kind of gets them going. I think this year's Notre Dame team isn't kind of your typical Jeff Jackson team. Mm-hmm. They do seem looser, and they're ended up losing more games on the scoreboard this year. But there is kind of a change of the guard, I think, at Notre Dame. You're looking at some of their commitments. It's some major junior guys who are going to be coming there next year. It's definitely a different feel with the Irish this year.
And I have some notes here about Thomas and Falloon question marks, but you kind of already said it. It looks like they're going to be back this week.
Yeah, they're expecting them to go. So I think they were cautious with them last week.
Okay.
And now they want to get them going. They've got home games, so they have a little more access to all the treatment stuff that they would want to help guys recover after a game. So I think it makes sense for them to play at home. Some of the other injuries that people are coming back for the previous season didn't need that, but these guys will.
Mm-hmm. Best time to be healthy, Jack. I mean, you've gotten through the bulk of your schedule. You've had that nice break now. Now let's get everyone together and let's do this.
It makes no sense that the Gophers record is what it is with the injuries they've had this year. Like, no sense. And I think they're these weird sports things. Like when I was a little banged up or something, like I thought I played tougher or grittier because I felt like I was playing through something and like gave me a little extra juice or something. That could have been something in the early, or like not even the early part of the season, the whole season before they got healthy in the past few weeks of like, hey, we're down a man, like we got to kind of step up, et cetera, et cetera. And so we'll see as they get healthy. But yeah, it's pretty unbelievable. The best ability is availability. And we have not had that this year, but hopefully going down the stretch, we can figure out who our line combinations are and all that stuff.
What is kind of crazy because like this year you have not seen very many bad turnovers by the Gophers, especially their forwards. They're not turning the puck over as they exit the zone, as they cross the opposing blue line. And then against Ohio State, everybody's back healthy. There's a couple bad turnovers that get them going the wrong way. There's a bad penalty, that erases a 5-minute major. There's just a couple of things that you haven't seen them do all season. And then they pop up all kind of together in a game where you feel like you should start rolling.
Well, I think a really important thing this weekend, Viggs, is the penalty kill and staying out of the box. That's kind of the one thing this year that's been a little different than the last 3 or 4 years. They've kind of led the league in, lack of penalty minutes, but this year they're up a bit and it's hurting them more because they're not as successful killing them off.
Bob is usually pretty quick on the discipline with penalties. He prides himself on running a program that doesn't take penalties. Maybe when you're shorthanded, you're not as able to get that message across. You're just trying to get through the schedule. I wonder if that might be part of it as well.
Oh, I hope so, because, boy, it's been killing them, Jack. It really has.
Yeah, and it's weird if it's something to point to. I would love that I need the Gopher stats to break that down. What number of penalties do they have for each type? Is it a bunch of hookings? Is it a bunch of trippings? What is it? Because that could tell you something there. Yeah. I don't know necessarily what more penalties means, but I'd love to see the breakdown of what they are.
Viggs is already searching. I could tell he's on his.
I don't know if I'm gonna. I can't quite do for game notes and get to that level of detail. I don't have the spreadsheets. Like
hey, go for game notes. If you're watching right now, make sure you tag us. Let us know or come into the chat or something. No, it's funny. It's funny. Earlier we talked about that college game and. Here I've got Drew Cove sending me, hey, go to this site and get credentialed. Like, maybe I'll just
because I was just looking as like the Gophers are still at 7.6 penalty minutes a game, which is 54th in the country. So it's not that they're taking a ton of penalties. Because I heard when you said that, I was like, I still don't know if they're taking a lot of penalties. Their penalty kill just hasn't been very good.
Yeah. Somebody said 11th best, I think it was. But that's a far cry from Motzko's teams are usually top 3, right? I think the past 3 years there's like 1, 2, and 1 or something like that. So it's
gotta stay out of the box. And when you do go to the box, like you said, it's just what we saw last weekend, Viggs, Friday night, 2 goals on the 5-minute, kill. That was the end of the game right there. It was.
Yeah, I mean, Friday night, once they gave that up, it just looked like the game got away from them. Mm-hmm. It looked like they played Whipple and Gruba quite a bit in the third period just to like kind of lessen the minutes on everybody else. And, I heard Bob say, that's a garbage can game. Not that he kicked it during, but that he threw it in the garbage can afterward. So let's move on. You just have to flush that one and go forward.
Too bad the Vikings did the same thing last night. Fourth quarter, it's just we're not going to win.
I'm drinking now.
It still hurts, Jack, right? Hurts.
Well, you know what? If Bob will get to say the same thing Don used to always say. When there's a lot more media availabilities and at the end of games, the Viking season must be over because a lot more people are here.
There was a pretty big crowd for availability last week too, so I don't know if he already used
that does pick up in January, but we have had a couple of games post game. 2 that I can think of. One had no people. Well, actually, 2 had no people, and then when I was there, I was by myself one time. And then Viggs, you're like Mr. Coach. You're never there anymore. You're at your kids' stuff.
I have a busier year this year. With
you
Pee-wee,
do.
So
you're a busy boy.
Pee-wee and the U10 has been a little bit busier, but we've got the big 3 weekends here coming up, and hopefully a home playoff weekend for Minnesota. It's been a weird schedule. I think finishing with Notre Dame, Wisconsin, Ohio State at home isn't kind of the glitzy matchups that you'd hope for. I think, sneaking in those Michigan State, Michigan series at the end of the first half was tough, especially with Minnesota not really having their full roster. So it is going to be kind of a tricky run to the finish here. I think, like Jack said, the schedule is making it maybe seem like we don't know as much about this team as we'd like. I think we all think we know what we're seeing with the talent that they have, but it's going to take a higher level for them to go on a run.
Well, give it to me then, Viggs. What do you think this weekend? How many points are on
after the video session on Saturday? I see 6 points in the future for Minnesota. I think Notre Dame is a little bit disjointed. They will have a lot of spunk to their game. Those teams always do when they come to Minnesota, but I think Minnesota's talent should carry them over. They just have to stay out of the box. This penalty kill, like Jack is saying, there's some things going on with them. I've seen them do a couple different things on the PK, and maybe they just have to settle into one kind of system and one way to handle rotations at the top of the zone and take away the seam passes rather than trying to adjust it all the time. I know Steve Miller's the mastermind of PK, and he clearly knows more than I do, but it just looks like there's too many inconsistencies happening right now. And maybe that has to do with the team not being able to practice full strength the last, 5-6 weeks as well.
I was going to say that, you talked about like getting one guy back. It doesn't, it doesn't change the PK that much, but I will say that like not having your partner out kind of hurts. Like I played with Romanko for 4 years straight as my PK partner, so I know 100% of the time, like where he's going to be, even after like 1 year. I know exactly where he's going to be. I know where his stick's going to be. I know how our rotation is. If I go out this far, I know he's going to have me covered. When all of a sudden I, maybe have to go play PK with somebody else, like all of a sudden you're a little bit lost. Like you're kind of playing you have a new dance partner, and it does mess with you. Like that does mess with you big time. So that could be something too, that like get these guys solidified with their D partners, get them solidified with their PK partners, move forward. So
because the biggest things I see are that like how they rotate up top as the puck moves, and then just slow taking away passing lanes, because it's just that little bit of indecision that makes a difference in college hockey these days.
So what do you think, Jack? How many points this weekend? You predicting a sweep just like V's?
Yeah, it'd be disappointing if there was anything less than 6 points, but I have like a weird gut feeling of overtime somewhere in there. So that scares me, into saying like something less than 6. Gosh.
I hope it doesn't get the shootout.
I'm gonna say, like I think I'm 0 for 3 on my predictions on here anyway in the past.
You just gotta embrace it. You just gotta go with your gut, though. Still, just gotta do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it's a sweep, and plus 10,000 odds, Gophers get a win in a shootout. That'd be so sweet.
That would be a better prediction, actually. Yeah, they only get the 5 points, but they got the win in a shootout or a shootout. Yeah. Yeah, I think the place would erupt, Figs, if that were to happen.
I mean, or there could be Bronx cheers. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Well,
but I don't think Notre Dame's goaltending is as good as it's been the last
No.
couple of years. So I think that's a
No.
big factor for Minnesota as well.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with sweep too. But boy, I kind of like your thought there, Jack. Though, boy, getting off that shootout schneid, that would be quite amazing.
That'd be sweet. I mean,
or it would be even it would be even better if it just continued. Oh gosh, it's just
yeah,
it's
just
the goofiest
disgusting
thing.
at this point. It's well past disgusting.
Beckett Hendrickson, top of the list on the shootout.
I
list.
would
He
agree.
scored on the breakaway. So
And we had a couple breakaways last weekend, and they couldn't get it done, Viggs. Gotta make it happen. Gotta make it happen. Viggs, you got anything going on that we need to know about?
not really. I mean, with the early show, we didn't get to see
Yeah.
availability before
Yeah.
the show. Just seeing Falloon and Thomas back in the lineup should be good. One of the things to watch this weekend, I think, does he keep these lines together that will look so good on Saturday, and just really dialing in on the PK. As Jack said, the partners matter, and they've had a lot of churn with how they handle PK. I think they were looking for Paulson to be one of their big PK guys this year. He misses all that time with his upper body injury. Mason Nevers, another guy that they really want to have on the PK. Him being out and slowed maybe to come back to fitness, that's another thing to watch. So
Okay.
important for Minnesota.
Jack, you ready for some overtime?
Yeah, bring it on. And I think, Eric, the line things too, and looking at the lines in the past few weeks, like you're like, wow, look at this depth. 4 lines is just unbelievable, and it is nice, but not everybody can play, So yeah, moving forward, they're gonna have to. It's kind of hard to even stack the top 9 because there's so much depth, but stack the top 9 and just overwhelm with 3 and get that 4th in there occasionally.
I think he does this, up to this point of the year to develop the depth, not really to show it off.
Yeah.
It's we recruited you to give you a chance to play. We are going to give you through January a chance to prove yourself. Then as we get to February, I'm going to start putting guys in slots.
It's time to win.
Time to win.
Exactly.
Which
Ready
they've
to
been
win.
doing anyway, but
Bingo. Well, thanks for coming on the show, Jack. You're at 5-time. You're a 5-timer now, just like Eric Shearhorn. You guys are just keep
when do I get
balancing
my
it up.
pack? I'll put it on the mantle.
A 5-timer. Well, that's going to do it for the GPL podcast. We'll be back next week on our normal day, Wednesday, where we're going to have Pat Micheletti on the show before the big Michigan State series. For those of you watching, stay tuned for overtime. For the rest, you will catch you next week on the GPL podcast. Well, there it is.
Little
14
mini loaf.
stew. There you go. 14 stew. Viggs, mini loaf of bread tonight or full loaf?
Yeah, I mean, this is a packed loaf, but it's a mini, 12 ouncer. It's a 12 percenter. It's a Founders KBS cinnamon vanilla cocoa from 2021. Pull it out of the cellar.
Give it a taste. Let us know.
Rich and sweet.
There
It's
you
delicious.
There you go. All right, we can see all of it. Oh, look at that big head. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-pointer. Is that a 7-pointer? It's hard. 8, maybe. It's hard to tell.
Just got this back, so it's good timing too.
Look at that.
This is from 3 post.
Very balanced.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I call it the Halo buck because it's
Yeah.
just barely split. So yeah, it's a cool one. But yeah, probably
Very nice.
my best bow buck to date.
My brother was big into bow as well.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I got a rifle buck this year. That was my first one, second time ever doing it, and this is my biggest buck by far.
Did you strap it to the hood and drive it through the university just for old time's sake?
Throw it on the old minivan. And drive through. Yeah, that's still one of my favorite stories. Not even hockey, non-hockey related. Yeah, I think I haven't even opened this, so I can do it now. But I was thinking of what to pop open. I got some Christmas.
What is that?
This is Blanton's.
Look at that.
Kentucky Straight.
Look at the top on that thing.
Yes, cool.
Nice.
Where is it? So I was told, so I don't know if you can see it. It has an N right there. An N.
Yeah, I can see it.
If you collect like all the different bottles, they have different letters on them. And I guess they're hard to get in stores now. You kind of have to get lucky or like buy them in an auction or something. I think that's how my dad got this one. And if you collect all of them and send them into Blanton's, like they'll send you a bottle and a thing with all the letters on. So kind of cool. I don't even know how to open this sucker. So get off the main screen while I try to figure this out.
Oh, wait a minute. Look at that.
So I've got a mini one because I had a Blanton's Bourbon County and it had a little topper in it. So this is a mini. I've had a couple Blantons, so they're kind of fun. It's always best for all you bourbon guys out there. Be friends with your store. Be a good customer, and you'll get rewarded. So
nice.
You don't have to just get them at auction or pay allocated prices or whatever. You can get them at MSRP. Just be a good person.
Very nice.
I was just over at 1010 Washington Wine and Spirits. They had their anniversary week this last week, 10 years for them. And I got a bottle of Eagle Rare, which I haven't seen in a while. So they had a barrel coming there. So that was fun. So.
I don't have any booze. I just finally got my wall artwork, though. There's my Goldie. Been waiting for a while for it. Let's see if I can zoom in and get a little closer in there. There we go. Kind of a 3D art Goldie I've been waiting for quite a few months. You know, we've seen everyone's seen it out on the internet and the Twitter sphere and whatnot. People getting their custom Gopher hockey, Gopher basketball, football, and all other types of sports. I finally got mine. I decided a lot of people had gone with the retro Goldie, you know, the old skating Goldie. He's kind of like this, but that's the Goldie I grew up with. And not so many people had done that. So I'm like, I'm going to go with my Goldie. So coming together.
I do like that one. I might have to get a piece commission for the excuse me, the basement attic. My wife and I have like above the couch a Gopher sports wall because she played soccer and got a hockey jersey. She's got her soccer jersey and like any achievements and stuff. So it's cool. Try to keep adding to it. It's fun.
You could get one for your sister too.
There you go. They got it. Yeah, they got their collection is a little bit more prized with her. She has rings, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say she's
more
got
trophy focus.
Well, yeah. I believe they get mini national championship trophies that are like that.
Yep. She's got freaking 3 of those, and then Drew, her husband, he played football. He's got the mini pig trophy for football, which is really, really cool as well. So they got some sweet ones.
That was a fun thing to watch. That undefeated season. They had was the 3 overtime game against North Dakota at Ritter during the NCAA playoffs. I came to Mariucci to see the Gophers. I don't think I got over to Mariucci until the end of the second or beginning of the third because I was over there watching the 3 overtime game. I've never seen players so tired in my life. They were all just exhausted. But it got up to the Frozen Four that was at home, and they completed an undefeated season. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. I mean, Wisconsin's really good, but An undefeated season. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, even in like the last, well, gosh, since you graduated, the last 6-7 years, like the parity across women's hockey is so much better. The schools out east are getting so much better, and yeah, I don't think we'll see it. Like you had now the Olympians and stuff are spread out, but you have 8-9 Olympians or whatever on a team, and an Olympian goalie, and you have 3 defensemen that are over 6 feet tall. Like just this, all this crazy combination things. And
Amanda Kessel came back that year as well because she had taken the year off, and she played the Olympics. She had concussion, and then all of a sudden that fall is she's gonna come back. Everyone's like, holy cow.
Yeah.
So
crazy. It's I don't really watch women's college hockey until towards the end of the year. Actually, I do, but that was one of the rivalries. That's so sad that that's not around anymore. Seems like the North Dakota thing could have been such a simple thing. Yeah. And that's just
especially the Lamoureux sisters.
Yeah,
you left to go build that program. They really did. Their parents were North Dakota people, but at the time North Dakota just wasn't that good, so they came to the U. I don't blame them. But then they started saying, "Hey, this program's picking up. Let's go there." And then the whole thing gets pulled out from under them. It's just ridiculous.
Still hate it. Still feel bad for those girls. Pulled right out from under them. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy that can happen. Who was it the last year for? Is it AIC? Is it their last year at D1?
Mm-hmm. They're dropping back to D2.
Yeah, the club.
Yeah, D2 is what they're doing. It was interesting. Their coach is going to be doing a transfer portal showcase at the end of the year.
Saw something like that. Was it today?
Yeah. So he's going to host a showcase for all his players who are going to have to find new D1 hockey spots if they want to play. And he's opening it up to other kids who are going to enter the transfer portal to play a little showcase, have a chance to meet with coaches, whatever, and hopefully find themselves a new home. That's kind of an interesting development in the college hockey landscape. I wonder if there's going to be any major junior kids who try to join that showcase as they look for overage spots.
I'm going to need to sit on that one for a while before I know how I feel about that.
It's not quite like the Ted Brill grade 8 tournament in your mind.
Yeah, that's pretty. Or maybe I'll put my own one on, and I'll and make some money. But yeah, that's a little weird. I don't know. The major junior. I'm sure you guys have broken it down and stuff, but I don't know. How much are the Gophers going to dip their feet into that pond?
I think it's going to be someone coming to them rather than them chasing somebody. That's kind of the impression I get, because they're not going to spend the time going to all these major junior games and rinks and establishing those relationships. But if there's a high-end player that wants to come to Minnesota and sends back that postcard, hey, I'm Michael Misa. I'm from Ontario. I'm interested in going to University of Minnesota and studying business. Here's my info. They might call him back.
Yeah. They were talking about in the chat earlier, maybe getting a goalie from there. And I think that'll be the biggest impact probably is goalies jumping from there. You're going to get 20-year-old goalies coming from major junior that have played 200 junior games, and I think there's going to be some good goalies, especially with how many NHL goalies that the U.S. is now producing. They'll probably start coming here a little bit more.
And how hard it is to go right from major junior to pro hockey. That's not an easy runway. Mm-mm. And we've seen the Gophers with Closer and Airy go for those experienced, Canadian juniors that aren't major junior goalies.
Yep.
So,
yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be the parity in college hockey is going to get really, really good. That'll be the fun thing, at least.
It already is.
It is, right.
It's really changed in the last 20 years, 25 years.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there any?
I mean, a Mercyhurst comes in the 90s. It's 10-1. It's 14-2. Not close games like it was this past couple weeks ago. That's just how it was back then. There were huge haves and bunch of have-nots. Now it is. It's much more balanced than it was back in the 90s, I would say, at least. Nobody heard of Quinnipiac. They didn't even exist.
Right. Yeah, man, some of these teams are going to get really old. I mean, they're already old, but they're going to get even older.
Are they going to get an Unreal apparel deal done, Biggs? I don't think so. It's Nike through at least, was it 27?
Yeah, through 27 with Nike. Fanatics also is a partner with the U for a long time. It makes it really hard for the U to partner with these companies like Unreal or Ghost Fit or whoever they're trying to do apparel stuff with. I know, Jupiter, you've heard some interesting things, but we'll see what happens there.
Yeah.
But
we'll see.
The apparel stuff at the U is difficult because for football and basketball, being a Nike school carries a lot of weight, and they want kind of that primary label for all Gopher stuff. It's always interesting how they have some of the other off-brand stuff that they offer with Fanatics, but they signed that deal too, and that's a long-term one. Yeah, it's too bad. Unreal makes cool stuff.
Oh boy, what do you do? Oh, big old sneeze from the Vigs. Look at that, professional hitting the mute button.
Little bit of a cold this season, so battling through.
Maniacs, yeah, they lost 13-1. I'm talking. Something weird happened with Army last weekend. What was that, Vigs?
A lot of firepower is the joke I heard.
Oh, jeez. They brought the artillery, huh?
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh, look, somebody's saying, did you clear your calendar for post-game Saturday night? Jeez.
You have a stat crew that's hungry for post-game, Jack.
I know, and well, shoot. What was the first one? First one.
You got to bring the gal. You got to bring the gal.
I know. First one was, what was it? Halloween was the Alaska weekend, or was it the next one? Or there was no, it wasn't Halloween. It was a Christmas party. No, that's what it was. I had to go to a Christmas party, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to see. Jack Clover and I might have some ice fishing lined up because neither of us work on Monday.
Oh,
So,
and now that it's been nice and cold, the lakes are a lot safer than they were in December.
Yeah, but the issue is -20 isn't too friendly to to fishing. So I might scrap it too. We have you guys will love this. I actually have a practice on Saturday too, that or Sunday that I'm maybe gonna skip if I go ice fishing or not, because there's been a Minnesota team formed to go play. And I believe it's like the Mountain West Hockey League, if you've ever heard of that, like the Vale Yeti and the Boulder Bandits, and Bozeman has a team and Chicago's team. Anyways, we got a bunch of Minnesota guys, like 18 of us, that next weekend we're going to Vale to play 2 games against
Vale.
Nice. Vale Yeti. So it's a full checking fighting league. So I'm stepping out of
oh boy.
Yeah, stepping out of retirement to do that, and we'll see how that goes.
See if you come back with a shiner, a big limp.
I texted Gaz. I'm like, hey, can I maybe get a bubble or a cage? Can I borrow that? Can I rent that for the weekend? Because I've been playing men's league with no cage or visor, and my wife's not going to let me go unless I get a full face shield, which I agree with.
What's that roster looking like? I mean, how are the incentives and the contracts worked out for this? I mean, it's got to be intense negotiations. You know,
we have some good sponsors. We do. It's the Minnesota Lumberjacks. But I'm trying to think of people we know. Munson, Cullen Munson is the only other Gopher going. Notre Dame, Bo Brower, Edina guy. He'll be going as well. Really, it is a lot of Augsburg guys, D3 guys that are going is a majority of the roster. So it'll be interesting playing. It's like the highest elevation, one of the highest elevation hockey rinks, in the world. So, and I'm not I'm not in my college playing shape. So it's gonna be like 20 seconds and off probably.
You're going to be like the lunch bucket hockey guy. You're going to be really important after the game, before the game, maybe the next morning.
Oh boy. But Denver is, obviously Denver's a mile high, but Vail is a couple thousand feet higher.
Yeah, it's gonna suck. Like I've been trying to tell these guys, like they're like, oh, it's gonna be good. Like we're gonna go in, we're gonna smack around. I'm like, guys,
temper expectations.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like I think it's gonna be either or. Like I think either it's gonna be an ass kicking for us, or like we're gonna not want to go out for the second period because we're all not gonna be able to breathe.
Are you gonna message Cal Dietz for some acclimatization protocols for you guys to fly in, quick, get on the ice, and then get out?
Get us in the chamber. Yeah, I think what North Dakota has that they have the altitude chamber.
They do.
That they can go in and change that before they go and play in Denver. Like, that's unbelievable.
It's ridiculous, is what it is.
Yeah, it is ridiculous too. But so that'll be good. I'll text you guys, give you an update on that.
Live video from the bench.
Yeah. I don't know if they might stream it. I don't know. I guess they
live barn. They got a live barn.
I don't know. It's like a legit league, and I think like the puck drops a little later because ski lifts shut down at like 4:00, and it gives time for the skiers to.
I'm gonna have to see if this is on Flow Hockey because I have access to Flow Hockey, so I might have to see if it's on there. They have all kinds of stuff, so. I don't know. We might have to do a live stream of this. And, maybe break down your game.
Yeah. -7 on the weekend. Not back.
I'll get a hold of Goldie and I'll try to get some feedback on how your skating's been lately.
I got my skate sharpened on the Sparks today for the first time in a year, so that felt nice at practice. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun.
How's the season going for your squad?
It's good. We're right in the thick of it as we kind of get down to the stretch. Got Duluth East on Thursday. That'll be a fun one, but it's weird. You graduated like 15 seniors, and now you gotta learn a completely new roster from guys that were, it was the same team for 2 years in a row, pretty much. So a lot more coaching with younger guys this year, which has been fun too. And trying to learn that, we had like 9 Division I guys, so that doesn't happen very often. So a lot more coaching, tweaking things, but it's been fun. I think we'll be able to make a run in our section, so I'm excited for it.
Nice. You talk about all the players, and I was mentioning Kennedy shutting down after 6 years. They don't even have a JV team right now. They were playing, I believe Jefferson played Irondale JV, the JV game before the varsity, because Kennedy didn't even have a JV team. That's how bad it's got at Kennedy.
Jeez.
I know. It's just, wow. I mean, you look at Minnetonka, and you guys are overflowing with players. And then literally just, 15 miles away, if that, they don't even have enough for JV. So
yeah, it's crazy. I mean, it's all about the youth programs and how many kids you can pump out of that.
And apparently their youth program's been combined for a few years. And I did see when I was at Big, they're doing a big renovation this summer. I believe it looks like they're taking the number 3 rink and we're kind of making that the big rink now. I think they're taking it from Olympic down to normal. North American size, because they made it the Olympic size back when it was popular back in the 90s. Mm-hmm. But they had a lot of room in that arena, so it looks like they're going to make it look real nice and kind of update the old Bloomington Ice Garden, which is nice because I lived on Abbott. Abbott's one of the roads that go right into the Bloomington Ice Garden, so I grew up real close to the arena. So glad to see the changes. I don't know how much it's going to do for the program. Viggs, you've been trying to give me hope last couple of years.
Well, I mean, Jefferson has pretty good youth numbers. Like they have over 200 mites. register their program, that's pretty good numbers to have a program that you can build from. It's not like the top programs, which will have like 500 mites, but anything over 200 is putting you in the top 30 probably of all associations. So as long as you have commitment of people who invest the time at those levels, you can develop players. And then it's all about retention and having kids who want to play for your program as they get older.
That's true. They did have quite a few, and I think they're still losing kids to Holy Angels and whatnot. So it's just how it
Got to
goes.
make your place attractive. I don't think Minnetonka has any problem with finding enough players. There's a lot of guys who want to play for Goldie.
Don't they've got they got a nice rink there now. I remember the old Pagel Arena was not great.
So they built the new rink. Gosh, this might have been 7 or 8 years ago. It's attached to it, so you got rink 1 and rink 2. I think the youth program owns rink 2, and the high school owns rink 1. So that's how it kind of works. But yeah, it's nice. You got good shooting areas and stuff like that. A nice gym got built in rink 2 as well. But it's one of, obviously I'm biased, but it's one of my favorite spots to watch a game with the track. What the old rink 2, the old arena? So there's Minnetonka A and B. That is, it's not Hopkins Youth Hockey might play there, and the girls play there, I think. And then there's Pagel. So Pagel 1 and 2.
Okay, so I remember going to a Pagel Arena back in the early 90s.
Yep.
And you were like right on top of the ice. There wasn't much stands, but you were like really close, almost overhanging it.
There could be. The track does go right over the ice around it, which is,
it may have been part of that. It's been so long. It's been so long
to watch hockey there. So,
I believe that's the same Pagel family as Rico Pagel, isn't it? The old Gopher Figs.
Yep. Yeah.
So
Braemar's doing a renovation now too.
Yeah, it was in the last election.
Yep. Yeah. So what do they have? 3
yeah, just like Chris says here, you got the cash, you can do it.
Yeah, that's what it's about, right?
But also with these associations, it's like they're community hockey still. Like they have their AA team or whatever, but they still have their C teams that they're sponsoring.
Yep.
I was just looking at my numbers because someone was asking one of the largest youth programs, and like the last time I checked, Maple Grove, Wayzata, Edina, Minneapolis, Wiper Lake, Minnetonka, Duluth, Stillwater, Rochester, Rosemount, Cottage Grove, Chaska-Chan, Woodbury, Lakeville, Blaine. Those are your top programs. And it's like those programs can support AA's, and then some of those programs have kids who are going private mostly. So it's a big spread. But anytime you can get over 300 kids playing 8U hockey, that's going to be good for your program long term.
Yep.
Fun stuff.
Outdoor ice too, which is always nice. They have no shortage of rinks, and that's what you need. So that's
would Edison be kind of considered your kind of home indoor rink, Vigs?
Yep. It's like 5 minutes from my house. Since where we have most of our ice. We do some at Augsburg and some at Parade, but most of the Northeast kids are at Edison.
We had some pickup games at Edison probably about 20 years ago now. I was really impressed with their ice. It was always really good. It was always really cold. It was 95 degrees outside. It seemed like a really good surface to play on.
Yeah, I've got no complaints with the ice there. Like they do a pretty good job with what they have.
Of course, I'm compared that to some other places. We've also played at Oscar Johnson at times where it's not the greatest. So
it can be very cold there at this time of year. Sometimes I feel like at Oscar and some of the Ramsey County rinks, it can be colder in the rink than outside. But
what was the one in Duluth? Was it Freiburg or Friesberger?
Freiburg, yeah.
Friesberger. Yeah. The ice was so hard. Is that Duluth?
Yeah.
Yeah. The ice was just so hard. Like hurt.
Just get your skates sharpened for that one. If you haven't sharpened them in a year, you're going to be in trouble at that rink.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of the rinks that I remember that just sucked to play as a kid. Yeah. Those Duluth trips. Have you had any good tournaments, youth tournaments, like out of town ones that you guys go to?
Not really for us so far. I mean, we've just kind of done some standard ones that have been okay. So the coolest thing we did, we got to do a Minnesota Wild Spotlight game last week.
Mhm.
So we had Wes Walls and Nate Prosser as the celebrity coaches, and
I
Kevin
saw you on
Gold was
TV,
there.
Biggs. I saw you in the background there, kind of.
Yeah, they didn't show my pregame speech at all.
Yeah,
I
they
was
did.
kind of disappointed. I was like,
I mean, they showed Walls, and you're just kind of standing in the background.
what was really funny about the pregame speech is I'd had 3 points for my kids before he came in there, and I was like, okay, angling. We got an angle on the ice, not just on the forecheck or in the neutral zone or D zone. We got an angle all over the ice, no straight lines on our stuff on that. And then our next thing was shift length, talking about that. And the other was like no panic on the puck. It's like you've got more time than you think. Like make a good hockey play every time you get the puck. Don't just get rid of it. Wes Walls comes in, he's like, have fun, short shifts, make hockey plays. I'm just like, kids, Coach Vigo knows what he's talking about too. Okay. Hopefully you listen to Wes Walls. But kids had fun.
It was pretty cool though. It was almost like a full arena. The other team was did your team wear suits too? I mean, some of these kids were wearing suits and stuff for their coming.
Everyone dressed up.
It was pretty cool.
So that was good. But yeah, we lost the spotlight game 4-1, but we came back and beat them next night in our district game 2-1. So as my son likes to tell me, that game counted. The other one was basically an exhibition. We didn't know we were playing. We ate lots of pizza. We drank lots of soda before the game. We didn't have time to prep. It was unfair.
How's the outdoor ice in the backyard? Not backyard, but across the street.
Across the street?
Is it pretty good?
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The hockey rink, they flooded it maybe a little too much after the snowfall. So it's taken a little time to recover this week, but the ice is good. We've got good weather this month. We should get a good 4 or 5 weeks of ice at least this year. So hopefully longer.
Compared to last year, it was just
Last year was like 2 days.
oh awful. Jeremy's saying Duluth tourneys were the best. I don't know. I've seen a lot of youth teams when Minnesota's been up in Duluth. There's always so many youth teams when you go up there and when the Gophers are playing up in Duluth.
Well, it's a good spot to go for a tourney.
So much
I
fun
love
for
going
parents
up there.
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I try to
This
keep
year-
myself out of the trouble with the tournament stuff as the coach. So
Smart man. You don't want to get cornered either. My kid, my 10-year-old needs more playing time. Come on, dude.
it's equal playing time, Jack.
You've already
It's
had
equal
to
for
deal-
everyone.
You've already had to deal with that too much already, haven't you? It's just
It comes with the territory.
yeah. Ugh.
I understand it. Like they're looking out for their kid, and I'm looking out for all the kids. So it's hard. So
Hibbing
it's easier when you're an assistant.
when it was 60 below outside. I'd take it a Hibbing's a cold. The old Hippodrome's probably a really cold place.
Oh. It is in Hibbing this weekend.
I gotta grab something to go with Jack's plans.
All
here.
right.
Right
Go
back.
grab your beverage.
Minus 22 on Monday. Ooh, minus 19 on Sunday. That's gonna be everywhere though. Yeah, I might not be ice fishing. I don't know.
I don't blame you. Yeah, it's like, was it 30s on Thursday and Friday, and then all of a sudden by Sunday it's like a high here is -1.
Yeah, we get that
No.
that huge cold snap.
Ugh.
I mean,
Unless you got a full ice house, even your little tent's not going to do you good for temporary.
The issue is last year I ice camped. So I've tried this ice camping thing with like my flip over or with the big pop-up hub, but I ice camped with my flip over when it was -10 last year, and it's super insulated. And I have a heater running it all night, but I could still see my breath.
Oh,
And like it was still so cold. I slept with my boots on and my gloves on. And in the morning there was just like an inch of frost on the inside. And it's because it was blowing like 20 miles an hour.
yeah.
But I have an old ice house too. But if I take that out this weekend, there's zero chance the heat is gonna actually like kick on because the propane lines, everything's gonna be frozen. Like,
Yeah.
so.
Oh, what do we got here?
So this is called Caribou Crossing. So it's another Sazerac product, but it's Canadian whiskey. And this is the first time I've ever gotten one of these. And they've got different kind of topper.
Yeah, I like that one more.
They got like
Big
an
old
elk on
moose.
there. It's like a caribou probably.
Caribou.
No,
Crossing.
okay. I'm
Yes,
sorry,
it's-
I didn't hear the caribou thing. Sorry.
So fun little bottle.
Very nice.
Yeah, good pop. Good pop.
Oh, that was a good
Little pop. Little pop.
10 out of 10.
You see, I always have to have mine on ice, Vigs.
Sweet Canadian whiskey. Delicious.
I got these little rocks. This was for Christmas like 2 years ago. I got these little whiskey rocks.
Oh, what is that? Yeah.
You just we don't have an ice maker in our fridge, so you just have these. Like I have like an 8-pack of these whiskey rocks, and you put them in the freezer, and
We
They
don't
chilled it.
either. Maybe I should look into that.
yeah, they chilled it really nicely. The thing is, I like ice melting. with
Yeah, that's kind of where I know, Vigs, you gave me one of those tasters that's a little bigger than the one you just used.
Yeah.
And
It's a little mini one.
and last weekend, I'm like, well, last Friday night, I sent a picture to Jack Shearhorn and Rossini drinking my sorrows away. And then he sends me a nice drink, whatever. One of many drinks you had. It looked like a nice dinner place or something like
Yeah,
that.
it was Mr. Paul's. I was there
Oh.
for my wife's birthday. Yeah,
Oh, man. And
the bartender. Yeah.
I got. Yeah, they're already ripping me. It's not Boone's Farm. Gosh, I haven't had Boone's Farm in at least 15 years. They're ripping on me for drinking local wines. So what? Jeez.
When's the last time you guys had or have you ever had Ron Diaz? You ever seen the bottle?
2000.
That was my drink of choice in college.
Oh, well,
I was still in college in 2000, Jack. So
Yep. There you
gosh,
go. It tracks.
I'm trying to-
That's the last time I drank it too. So
I'm trying to think what our go-tos were back in the 90s. I always liked a good Alabama Slammer back then.
That was
a
that.
long time. It's just, it tastes like fruit punch, but it's just so loaded with so much alcohol that it hits you like a ton of. You can only drink one because it's too. Yeah, okay, Tom's. I saw that. My Bartles.
it's very sweet.
Southern
Bartles
Comfort.
and James Zima. I think I've had one Zima in my life. I don't think. Do they make Zima anymore? I don't think they make Bartles and James anymore. What wine
No one
coolers do they
knows.
still make? They still make wine coolers, right?
I'm not the demographic. I mean, look what I'm drinking. I'm not going to know the answer to this question.
Yeah, just
I've got nothing. I've just got water. I've got water.
get that pinky up.
It's not the Thanksgiving episode where I drank an entire bottle of wine and I think 2 glasses of whiskey.
Is the normal start time 9:30 or is that a late one?
It is always 9.
I'm kind of I got to get my kids to bed, Jack. So
Yep.
9:30.
I'm
They should be in bed by 9:30 most nights. Some nights it's a little harder.
I'm waiting
than
for them to
others.
come downstairs and just cause havoc sometime in the podcast room.
I've got a 10 and 12-year-old, so they're mature and young enough to not do that yet. They don't have the attitudes of a teenager.
I have had E&J brandy and I don't mind it.
Do you
Not bad.
do you have a log? What was the last episode I was on? It was last
We
year.
do have a log. Jupe's got a
I don't know what it
Google
was.
sheet
It
tracking
felt like it was
everything.
around holidays.
Give me a second here. Just give me a second here. Let me see. You were on. Oh, yeah. You were both on in January. You and Shearhorn were on January 3rd.
Okay, so yeah, it was a holiday. A holiday one. I think I texted you that was it because I was in the house for the last one. I was in an apartment for the one before that. I'm trying to remember which one it was. We got after it in overtime, and I always Uber Eats Taco Bell whenever I'm on here.
Oh,
I told my wife that too today, and she's like, "Not tonight, not tonight."
We're in a house now.
Yeah, but I ordered I Uber Eats Taco Bell, and I think I woke up at like 4 a.m. and I was like, my Taco Bell's still outside. And I went out, and it was kind of same like this. It was like -10 out, and it was just everything was just frozen. Solid. Yeah.
That's gonna be a new clip there, Viggs. That's a good one right there. It's definitely gotta be a new clip.
Yeah, I think I was drinking beer during that episode, so that was the mistake. Like during the episode, I was drinking Coors because there was a holiday episode, or it was like an extra long overtime one. I don't have any beer in the house right now, so thank goodness.
Viggs, I know I saw earlier, right? Or you were getting a compliment on your sweatshirt there.
Yeah,
Look at that.
I've still got the ghost fit going that the Stat Crew guys figured out, so it's super comfy. Really enjoy it. Like the
little tassels
there,
retro Goldie. That's like
retro Goldie. Yeah. So
retro Goldie is now regular Goldie. They don't really use the old logo like I have up my wall now.
Yeah, this ghost fit stuff is great. I love it. I'm gonna have to try to find some more apparel from them.
They've got a black one as well. I know they got black ones, man. I told Peach next time it gets that order, get me on that because I want one of those. Those are nice.
Yeah, U of M connection and then Peach. So
what's this Prior Lake Pee-wee here? I was trying to update as you were chatting to. Ran into Joy Martin the other night. Did you guys see Parisi, Ballard, Dubnik are coaching squirt teams for Edina?
Must be undefeated.
Dubnik?
They've all got kids probably. And I mean, that's what makes some of these programs really good is they've got all this talent coaching these young kids. So
we saw Eric Stahl at Mariucci last year for Danny Ehrman's team that he was coaching was down after the game to go into the locker room. And I think one of Eric Stahl's kids was on Danny Ehrman's team or something. Because like all of a sudden you look out the media door and all of a sudden there's Eric Stahl standing there with his kids. It was just really weird. And then you see his number retire just a couple nights ago.
Yeah, I'm sure that Spurgeon's kid is playing on this Parisi, Ballard, Dubnik team too. It's just like I remember my kid's a Pee-wee this year, and I remember playing in a tournament at Jefferson at Big. It was like a Mite Jamboree, and there was an Edina team there. And I just was like looking at the last games. It's just like all these NHL players, their kids are playing Mite hockey, and sure enough, like the dads are there coaching too. It's like they may be on the road a fair amount, but they're helping out as much as they can.
Team's going to be, the high school team's just going to be nasty in 10 years from now. Josh Harding's the assistant coach of the high school team too.
Mm-hmm.
So they got all these former NHL guys. I mean, look at St. Louis when all those Blues guys. Now they have like 12 kids in the NHL because all those kids were playing on the same team growing up, and good teams, competition and practices breeds good players. So that's why playing time in games doesn't really matter. Parents watching. If your kid's good, they'll get there.
Yep. My kid deserves all the time and space. I do not envy coaches. I don't envy referees.
No,
it's getting so bad.
Okay, I swear, I wish I could remember the guy's name. 2 weeks ago, one of the high school games, one of the referees for our high school game. I was like, that's a Big Ten referee.
Oh yeah,
right. It was. Mm-hmm. I was like, that guy ref my games. I'm like, I swear to God. So
I wouldn't doubt it. I know we've seen. There was a guy who was a linesman back in the WCHA who used to ref our adult league games.
Take what you can get, man.
It's in the middle of the week. They're doing ref 3 or 4 games a night for adult league. Very relaxing. I mean, especially when you're D League like we were. It's like they weren't taking it seriously. They're just out there having fun.
I should pick that
having
up.
fun dropping pucks.
Yeah, I've been meaning to do that.
I remember at least one or two of them were WCHA refs at the time.
Yeah, we've had a couple women refs for my 10U games where they come on, they're wearing their WCHA like helmet or tab, and I was like, hey, just to give you a heads up, this is 10U girls hockey. We're not going to be at the pace you're used to. And they're like, oh, what? Still got my WCHA helmet on. Okay.
Got the helmet on.
Yep.
Yeah. Might as well take it. Sure, it pays well.
Jack Carlson still refs youth hockey games. I don't think that's the issue. I saw a video that a friend of mine put out. I put on the GPL Facebook page. Just these young refs starting at teens. They just get screamed at and you're making the wrong call. And it's like, they're just kids. And they're just they're learning the sport. And the parents, the coaches are just ruthless on these people. I bet you see it, Viggs, don't you?
Every once in a while, I'll see certain associations where you just know their coach is going to have his mouth in the ear all game. And it's just like they're out there doing the best they can. Yeah, I'm coaching PWC hockey right now. It's like we're getting PWC refs too. Like they are learning everything. I try the best I can as a coach to talk to them either between periods or after the game because I know it's hard. Just as much as I know my kid, when he's on the ice, making a decision as the player's coming on, that's hard. You know, there's a lot going on. You know, they don't have that third person perspective of everything. They're learning as they go. So it's the same thing as a coach. Like the refs are learning too. I'm learning as a coach. So,
yep. We had one referee in the East Coast League. How about that? Some of the shit that went on behind the play.
Yeah.
And just getting mean mugged trying to come up the ice and he can't. And like the referee's 20 feet in front of you looking the other way and you're like, help.
Help. Aren't there any rules here?
Yeah.
I've told this story a couple of times in the past, probably not with you around, but Viggs and I played in an adult league game. In those games, they usually just have two referees. One referee was late. So we had one referee. And he literally had a patch on one of his eyes. I'm not kidding. He was a great guy. He'd reffed us so many times. Great guy. Literally, you know, the old joke, you know, one-eyed Willie out there, whatever, one eye on the game for, I want to say the full first period it was, the referee with one eye. And for the rest of the time, every time we saw him, I would just come up to him with just like this, just put my hand over my eye, and he would laugh. But I mean, it just kind of fit the narrative there, Viggs. It was just too funny.
Just need somebody to drop pucks, right? So.
Oh, were the Taconite jerseys one and done?
Looks like Viggs is wearing one of them.
No, I'm saying words.
It's what the kids like these days. They love the gray, so I don't know if there's a lot of appetite to keep wearing them, from what I can tell. But
they waited almost 2 years for them. Throw them on at Michigan State next weekend. Do them against Michigan State again, or at Michigan.
Yeah, it sounds fun as like a color rush game. You know, where the Gophers could wear the gold and Michigan State could wear green, or you know, something.
That would be
cool.
nice.
Yeah. Or you see Michigan wear their golds and Gophers wear their grays, you know.
I like the 100 year.
The hundreds were perfect.
Those were fantastic. The breezer covers were cool.
Mm-hmm.
I like those ones. They should have done. I and people can hate me for this. We talked about this. I want a black jersey. So that's what I want.
It's close. What they have now is close, but obviously not black. But
yeah, I want black. But then again, that's probably looking like an Arizona State.
Yeah,
away jersey or whatever.
But we saw that black jersey with the gray skating goalie that the Gophers got from somebody at the end of the year.
That mock-up somebody made.
I thought that was kind of cool looking. I would be on board with a black with a gray vintage goalie, like black, gray, and
like
white.
Black and white type of.
Yeah,
No color.
No color. Black, grays, and whites. I think that would be kind of fun. So,
Oh, worst numbers to read ever.
sounds like a personal problem.
Wear
Stack
glasses.
What
if?
I
I wonder if that's Rob. That could be Rob because we know Tom's is here.
I remember Ohio State women's team came out at Ritter. Do you guys remember that?
Dude.
They took the penalty.
They
took penalty.
Yeah. Couldn't read the numbers or the names.
Those were sweet jerseys.
How does that get approved?
It didn't. Then that's why.
Yeah, that's why.
How does that get approved to
And I did hear a follow up on that. They like redid the jersey in the off season, so they could be official. And they could wear them, but like the first run of it was just like can't read any of this stuff.
Ryan thinks that they should have maybe done the covers, gone with the gold covers on the pants.
They could have done something.
I don't know.
Different to them. There's just a little too much going on.
Like I said when they launched, I don't think they were intentional enough with the Taconite jersey. They just kind of threw it together. I feel like it could have been cooler had they put a little more thought into it and done something specific and a little more thought out. It felt like it was something that they just threw together, took forever to get here, and then they just won. So,
well, we kind of heard that they just kind of threw it out there. They didn't really get permission even. They just kind of threw it out there. No one objected. And then obviously they took forever to do it because they ordered 4 jerseys for last season, I believe it was, for 23-24. And they had ordered them in like November or December of 22.
Taco Bell's here.
No, I'm looking around my bottles in like the decanter. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, decanter.
Yeah, my favorite whiskey, Willie's Montana, like honey moonshine, is the way to go. But this is a close second. That's from my very small town in Montana where my wife's from. You can order stuff online. They have great stuff. I highly recommend it.
I cannot wait to get back to Montana this summer.
Where do you go?
Well, we're doing the national park. We're going to Glacier, but I just love Glacier. I love driving through the state. I love, just
It's beautiful.
Just even when it's just these rolling hills and it's just they're right when they say big sky. It's just I love Montana.
Okay, I gotta get this freaking thing open. He's just laughing and chewing on it.
Oh, he goes off camera to open it. Some insecurity there.
Oh boy. He doesn't want us to clip it. What do you do?
I can't get it.
That's what she said. Oh boy. What do you do?
More whiskey apparently for Jack here.
I'm out of water, so I'm getting thirsty here.
I was wondering if that was the Uber Taco Bell.
No, I was looking on Uber Eats because I had to re-download it. I'd never use it. This is like the one time.
The only time you use it is during the show.
And I don't know if you guys ever been to Mr. Santana's Deli, kind of in Dinkytown. I think it's just across the highway, just across the bridge over there.
Yep.
I went to the place once in college, but I would always order it. And they have great sandwiches and burgers and stuff like that. But
cheese fries.
I saw it on there and I was like, ooh, I haven't got that since college. I need to do that. And I need to make a stop at Mesa Pizza as well. So, yeah.
I'm still missing campus pizza. It just tastes that spicy special and I miss it.
When did that one go? See, Santana's the best drunk food. Yeah, well, that's why. Yeah.
It was like the after bar. It was like the pre-after bar meetup spot with Santana's. Like bars would close, you go to Santana's, you get some food, and you figure out where the after bar party was going to be.
Yep.
In that area.
Where are we going?
That was the campus life back then. then you show up at the after bar and people are doing quarters with E&J Brandy, and you're just like, whoa, this is the professionals game here. I'm not getting involved with that.
Oh,
jeez.
God. Now I get a question for you guys. Back to hockey question.
Right.
The Big Ten regular season. What do you think about that? Curious, because it's kind of close. Ohio's moved back into it, and everybody else is out of it. So it's kind of like a 3-team race. But that one shootout loss really hurt. It's in that 27 compared to 28.
I have a hard time seeing Michigan State running the table. Like, there's going to be openings in the last 12 games for Minnesota to catch up. I mean, if they're going to overtime with Penn State's the bottom team in the Big Ten, right, Jack?
Yes, correct.
So, like,
Notre Dame is not far behind.
No, 7 and 9. That's
and they beat Michigan the other night. Like, stuff's going to happen in this league where, teams are going to drop games you don't expect. So I don't think it's like you have to run the table. I think you have to take care of business, especially at home, like Minnesota with Notre Dame this weekend. If you want to win the conference, you can't drop points to a team like that. But on the road, things like that are going to happen, I think.
But I mean, look at that. Notre Dame's got 2 more games than Penn State. And they're only up by 2 points. So last place is not far for Notre Dame right now.
And I do think Bob wouldn't mind finishing second. I don't think he cares about the incentive.
He wants to play the games.
He wants to keep playing rather than have the bye week.
interesting.
Yeah, because that bye week it's weird because you're off for a week and then you come back, you play one game, and then you might play another one game the following week. But last year, you lose that, one game.
What doesn't make sense to me at all is it's just the first round is a 3-game series, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Why the hell are we doing this? Make the championship a 3-game series. Like, I don't understand why we care about one playing 8 and sweeping them. Who cares?
I know in the old league it was looked at as ticket revenue for the home team. I think now the Big Ten splits all the ticket revenue, and so they still want that money. I don't think it's as big a deal in the Big Ten, but that's kind of been the historical reason why you have these first round playoff games in college hockey, is so that home teams could get that gate and help fund the conference that way. I know NCAC, that was a big part of their league, was generating enough ticket revenue to pay for all the stuff that the league needs to run, and the playoff tournament was part of that. So that's some of the inside baseball on why they do it the way they do.
I wouldn't mind seeing that though. I mean, you're only playing one game on a semifinal. Why not best 2 out of 3? And then maybe you have a 1-game championship.
I think, especially when you only have 7 teams in a league and you're not playing like a playoff weekend like a lot of the other leagues do, you want the teams playing games. You don't want them sitting around, right?
Yeah. It's just, for me, it's just what is missing from college hockey. College baseball does series. Obviously, less physical toll. You have different pitchers, but look at what college football's done. They've added games. Okay, so obviously the precedent is there that we can do this. Like,
they also use campus sites,
right? But NCAA tournament series. Like they're playing in the series. It means so much more. You're getting kids more prepared for the next level too. Like, it just means so much more. And that's where you really, really build rivalries. I know we built this rivalry with Michigan over the past 4 years with these playoff games and stuff, but imagine if they were a series. How good those games have been. Imagine it being a series.
I mean, I would love the NCAA tournament to be a series format at
3 games
sites.
3 games. Yep.
I think that'd be great.
Then you're making the season a lot longer then.
How many games do they play in the USHL?
60, probably.
Okay, if you do that, you got to play in December then, because enough of this 3 weeks off stuff.
I think most college coaches would be in favor of that.
I don't know
Bob
why
was
they
just
keep
on his radio
Week
station
off. You
this
one
week
off.
saying, "Why do we take all this time off? Let's take a week off for finals. Let's not play on the holiday, but let's keep going."
Like, if you're playing major junior, you're playing 82 games.
Yeah.
So that's something that these coaches use against kids going to college.
Here's the problem with the Big Ten, though. You've got that stupid Ohio State and Wisconsin arenas that have all this other crap going on. They're not dedicated arenas.
Yeah.
And Kohl Center can't host on this day or that day. They have a hard enough time now. You think they could host a couple series? I mean, you got playoff weekend. You think they could do 2 more weekends? I think it'd be tough for them.
Yeah.
Sounds like a personal problem to me, Jude.
Yeah. Hosted on.
Yeah, I know, but that's what they're gonna say.
Yeah.
You got Ohio State. Yes, they're not the greatest in hockey, but they still have a lot of pull in the Big Ten. And these are Big Ten tournaments, so whether we like it or not, they still have a lot of pull. Whatever happened with that women's arena? Are they going to make it bigger, Vigs?
It's been tabled a couple times. Like I've been watching their regions documents, and they have not posted an update, even though they said they were going to post an update in November. So
Because
something must be going on there.
They're playing in a substandard high school rink right now.
Right. It's worse than all
The women.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah. It's too bad.
And they've got more than enough money rolling in. And
Hey Jack, can we get a look at the label on this whiskey that you just had to mouth open and tear apart with your teeth?
Hey, sure.
oh, sorry, went the wrong one.
Wrong
here.
guy.
There we go.
Okay, Bighorn bourbon whiskey. Yeah.
Bighorn whiskey, and it's kind of cool. Not on this one, but on the Honey Moonshine one. It has on the back. So I believe the distillery is powered by the Madison River, so the big river that flows through the town. It's one of the biggest fly fishery rivers. But it has all the stats like the flow rate, the water temperature, everything like written on the bottle manually for when it was bottled. So it's kind of cool.
That's cool.
So this one's 10/31/23, and it says usually the person who bottled it writes their name, but this one says "Go D-backs" on it. So I think the Diamondbacks are playing like the World Series or something like that. So somebody wrote that on there. So yeah, they have a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm reading here. Chris Ellis is worse than Aldridge. Their arena for the women, don't they hold like 400 people, if that? Maybe?
Yeah, Ohio State's rink is terrible.
It's just
Stewie's right here, our buddy. It's like Somerset, Wisconsin. It is a rough rink. Like it's not very small or not very big
for a national championship caliber team. It amazes me. What are you opening now, Viggs? Oh,
just a little.
I do like the Buffalo Trace.
If Jack's gonna have another one, I gotta have a little bit.
Jeez.
Yeah, I'm looking around. I'm like, what can I crack?
I think I need to add a bar to my office. I think
you gotta have a bar apparently for overtime when Jack's on.
I could put a little fridge there with a little space on top. Maybe I could pull that off.
I've been taking books out and putting animal heads in and whiskey in. So like I had a full library of like books that I've read and books I want to read. Just replacing it with dead stuff and drinks.
Buffalo Trace. I'm jealous of these. That's good stuff.
I'm telling you, people, get a good relationship with your store. It
Yep.
goes a long way.
Yeah. I've been going to Coburn's.
It's tough to get a relationship there, but I'm sure.
Yeah, there's like a Prairie Liquor just down the street, or
I'm sure Coburn's has a guy. They do bottle picks at Coburn's, so
actually that's where I got the Buffalo. That's where Barb found the Buffalo Trace. 2 bottles of it.
There you go.
She asked, "What do you have anything better?" And they was like, "Yeah, we got this Buffalo Trace back in the room. We don't have it out." So Barb takes care of me.
What's the why am I it's not it's not Bullet. It's not Bullet. Oh, Makers. Do you drink Makers at all?
Yeah. Makers 46. Yeah.
I've been trying, like, every time I go into the liquor stores, I'm trying to find like the heavy dipped ones. I don't know what the name is for it. Have you seen those? Because they hand dip all their bottles.
Yeah.
Ones that occasionally that are like all the way down to the base of the bottle. I don't know. I've just been thinking of cool bottles to collect, and I've been looking for one of those.
I remember back in my younger days, the like Dinkytown one had dipped in maroon and gold.
Really?
So you could get a Makers that was dipped with maroon and gold wax.
Wow.
I haven't seen one in 20 years, but I remember they used to have that at one of the old like Dinkytown liquor stores.
That's a keeper right there.
I wish I would have kept it from back then, but that was pretty cool.
Oh, let's see if I could buy one of those.
Be good for the alumni get together in the summer.
auction that sucker off.
Yeah,
that'd be cool. I went to it was 2 years ago. I went to my buddy's bachelor party. He went to school in Kentucky, so we went back there and did a bourbon tour for his bachelor party. And we did Woodford, we did Bullet, Castle and Key, and like one other one. But it was pretty cool to see how this stuff is made and yada yada yada. It's pretty fancy. It's a good dude's trip.
I get to go in May and pick a barrel. So,
oh, you are? Which one?
I get to pick a Stag from Buffalo Trace. So that'll be really
cool. Where is that?
So Kentucky, it's outside Louisville a little bit.
Yep.
Going with a group of guys, some college guys I know. The liquor store guy at 1010, and we'll go there. We're gonna do a Russell's pick as well, and I think maybe a Bardstown's pick. So it'll be a busy week.
And then do they bottle that for you and like distribute it to all of you guys, or how is it?
Well, so they bottle it and then distribute it to the liquor store.
Oh, okay. Distribute it to the liquor store.
Yeah, or to the distributor, and then the liquor store, and then to us. So
because there's certain rules.
Three-tier, system. So
got it. How many bottles do you pull from a barrel?
For Stag, it's short because it's such high proof. I think it's like 120 bottles a barrel or something like that, or 160 bottles a barrel. Something
small,
like that.
Yeah.
It's small, yeah, because it's proof like 140.
Yeah,
so it's pretty powerful stuff.
You break those bottles up then across all of you guys, or like does the liquor store keep any, or is it all for you guys?
The liquor store mostly keeps them, I think.
Got it.
So,
got it.
We'll get a few extra, but like Stag is one of those bourbons that like a store gets like 6 or 12 bottles a year.
Oh, okay.
So they're getting 2 barrels of it to sell, so it'll be pretty exciting.
Selling it all to Vigs.
Yeah, cool. I don't think I have the bourbon budget to buy a barrel of bourbon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The wife might question that one a little bit.
I might question that one a little bit. So it'll be fun. I've never been, so this will be my first bourbon trail trip. So we're doing it big.
I like that. Somebody said the Scotland trip. Would you guys ever do that on like Scotland or Germany and like
Whiskey Chat Live?
This is what this always turns into.
Oh yeah. Yeah, trip would work for you guys too.
One of these days, golf is a big part of a Scotland trip. When I eventually pull the trigger on that, so
yeah, I want to go to Oktoberfest or something like that. I think that'd be cool to experience it once, and just some of these different bucket list things. Even like, have you guys ever done Mardi Gras, like something like that? It's comparable, I guess, but.
New Orleans has never interested me just because I've heard so many stories that, except for Bourbon Street, is just a dump.
Yeah, I was there 3 months ago for like a 3-day work trip. We took out like a riverboat gambling thing for the corporate thing, but then went to the casino after. Seeing a sports betting lounge was really cool though. Like during an NFL game, like the 500 screens and then the giant big screen, that was cool. But yeah, this Bourbon Street was really cool. But besides that, not really. But Mardi Gras would be cool.
how does the Super Bowl keep going there? Yeah, Bourbon Street's great. Oh, yippee skippy. The Superdome it's got to be pretty dumpy now, too.
Yeah, it's so dark. Like every game you watch there is just really, really dark.
There's
probably some money.
Yeah,
and why it keeps going
I know,
back to
but man,
great food. That's a good point. The food,
good food.
The food is fantastic. I want it
warm. Yeah, they always like it warm. They're not big on cold locations, but boy, they go back to New Orleans a lot, and it's just a dump.
Yeah. Have you guys ever been to Japan or Korea?
No, my daughter's been to Japan. My daughter spent almost a month in Japan.
Really?
By herself in hostels she was staying.
Did she speak Japanese?
Not very well. No, you don't really need to.
Not very well.
But
yeah, hats off to her.
Yeah, she sent me a video of her on the bullet train going from Tokyo to, I can't remember where she was going at the time, but literally just whipping by. Amazing. But she did on the cheap because like you stay at hostels, it's like $15 a night.
Yeah,
you're with other people, but you're young. The funny thing is, while she was there, she ran into somebody she knew on a street in Tokyo. I just think of the millions of people in Tokyo, halfway across the world, and you run into somebody you know.
I ran into my freshman year, like junior counselor from St. Olaf on the streets of London when I was doing my study abroad. I had no clue that he was there, and I just ran into him. It was his birthday, and so I remember he's like, "Hey, I can't go out with you tonight because I'm going out with my girlfriend, but come into my bar in London, and you can hang out and drink and enjoy a night with my buddies." And I get there, and like his 4 buddies, like 2 of them don't speak English, and one of them's German, and one of them's Italian, and then there's this other English guy, but we all spoke just a little bit of Spanish. So we were watching like a Champions League game, speaking Spanglish to each other and just drinking free beer from this bar in the south of London, just randomly getting together. It's like when you are young and you can do stuff like that, it's really fun.
That's awesome. I'm doing London and Paris in September of this year.
Nice.
So that's my first international exposure. So I'm excited for that one. Any recommendations?
Are you taking the train between? The channel from like London to like Paris or something like that?
I think we're hopping on a flight. This is my wife and my mother-in-law's doing. I'm just there to kind of ride along. My brother-in-law and I will maybe sneak off to like a war museum at some point, So
there's just so much to see over there. So much history. It's just, you can't see it all, but
my number one advice is like try to speak the native language as much as you can
in London.
Just attempt it. Well, no, like when you're in Paris and stuff. Like when you're in Paris and stuff, it's like try to
say bonjour to everybody.
Like if you're trying to order something, like just don't assume they're going to speak English because they really don't like that. And if you try, even as bad as it could be, it goes a long way that you're trying and you're not like just this American who comes over there and
just say you're Canadian.
Yeah, say you're Canadian. So my wife has been to Paris before, and like I feel like I've heard so many different things because she's told me stories about how she'll be in a restaurant and she tried ordering in French, and the waiter went like, "Ugh, English, please." Like, like
English, please.
Yeah, like they're
interesting. Everyone always humored me. They're like, "Thank you for trying."
Yeah. Finish what you're saying. Yeah. I love that.
Oh.
Just because I remember being in Germany and clearly they knew how to speak English, but because my friend had just like right away just gotten into English, they were just like, "Nope, not having it with you." So
yeah, try.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I get the only French I know is French Canadian from like Jacques Lemaire and Mario Tremblay and them swearing. So like I have 8 words, that I'll be able to throw out and I get slapped by somebody. That's about it.
Bonjour, and just start swearing at him. There you go.
Yeah.
That'll get you.
This is all I heard growing up,
Mm-hmm.
I'm French Canadian.
Yeah, they're a different breed.
Did you do any like study abroad stuff when you were in school? I know like every once in a while guys take that month or two where it seems like everybody does like a study abroad type thing.
Yeah, no, a lot of guys did. I unfortunately never did. I did my summer classes and then my May term. I always did my May term classes. So like my senior year, I didn't really have really much to do, but that's one of the things I regret not doing that. And then I wish I would have gone and played in Europe, for a year at least. My wife still tells me like, let's do it. Let's rent out the house for a year and like, let's go do it. Cause I'm sure I could go find a league, to go play in next year. I probably have like 1 or 2 more years before I can say that I can't say I can.
Time's ticking, Jack. You got to figure this out.
Well, wait till after the Vail weekend before making any big
yeah. That will be like I go to men's league on Monday. I'm like, yeah, I still got it.
Yeah,
still got it. Yeah. It'll probably be a quick wake. I mean, I'll get hit once and be like, F this. No. Done.
Or is there going to be a switch or a wire that crosses, and all of a sudden, it's going to be vintage Jack?
Oh,
yeah. That's what I'm nervous about too. Like one of my good buddies, he played at Lindenwood when they were D3 and never. I mean, I had a cup of coffee at pro, but like just the little experience that I had, I just know. And like in men's league, he gets like overly aggressive and rubs guys out and stuff. And he's so excited to hit guys and stuff. And he's gonna be my D partner. And I already know. I'm like, he's just gonna crush somebody, and I'm gonna have to go over there and just eat some punches for him. Like, so I've told him multiple times, like, just please don't. Nobody throw a big hit in the first period. Like, we don't need to start our weekend that way.
I take it your men's league is no check, right? Or
yeah, no check. It's competitive, but it's not that good. So
are there really any checking leagues? I mean, really, I don't
know. This is like the only semi-pro one I know of, and I think it's fun because you're going out and playing in front of 1,500 fans. You get to wear a team jersey and stuff like that, and you get to travel. But I'm not going to Tuesday night league to throw hits. Like, God knows there's some guys like,
there's some guys who try to get the elbows in and are just like, okay, this is adult hockey. Yeah, you have many different levels, A to D, whatever, but it's still supposed to be fun and not.
Everybody's got to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah,
everybody's got to go to work tomorrow. Like, that's what I hate is like some of these guys get ratty, and I'm like, there's like 2 guys on our team that like, we played at high levels. Like, you would die if we actually wanted to do this. Like, we don't want to do this. Okay. Like, let's not mix it up. We're good. I gotta go to my sales job tomorrow. Okay. Chill.
We had quite a few players like that when we played Vigs. You could tell they didn't play high school hockey, but they played, what's the other alternative for high school?
The junior gold.
Yep.
And they just think they're the best thing ever, playing in a D league where they shouldn't even be playing. I'm a D league player. Vigs, you're a B to C league player, probably.
Depends how much I'm working out.
I was E.
Depends how much whiskey I've been drinking.
I was E league maybe because I never played, so I saw.
How did you get into what you do now? Like this?
Honestly, just being a fan. But what was it? The PrideOnIce.com website shut down during the 2003 Frozen Four. I just put up a temporary message board so people had a place to go to chat during, because it was the biggest, most busiest time of year. And I just kept it going. And, eventually the Pride and Ice site was shut down and more people are coming to the site. There is I don't know if he's still on the site, but Kevin Kurt, he was an old SID. He was a member on the site. He says, why don't you come over? I'll get you credentialed. And we just slowly got into it. And then 14 years ago, we started this podcast, and we're probably one of the older podcast feeds. I mean, that was before you came on even.
Yep.
We've been around a long time, and I enjoy it. And now I've been fully credentialed since the 2007, 2008 season. And we were partially credentialed 2006, 2007. So
what's the difference?
that Blake Wheeler goal in what was their last Final Five championship was my first Final Five covering, which was turned out pretty awesome, by the way, but that was their last Final Five championship.
And I remember I first started writing for you at those Final Fives because Cardinal wanted to be in total room mode for the Final Five.
Mm-hmm.
So I would kind of sub in and write a little bit of Gopher Puck Live stuff during that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I started doing that with you guys. And
from there, cease and desist from FSN. Yeah. Some of it started, I would put together highlight videos of the games. This was before YouTube, because I'd record the games and I would take them and create little clips. And I remember seeing Thomas Vanek at a bar once. And he says, I send my dad links to your clips so he can see me play. But then Danny Ehrman had a penalty shot against Wisconsin that everybody's seen. It was the first penalty shot in ages. It got a lot of views, and the people at FSN got pissed and got their Los Angeles lawyers at me, cease and desist. And they're like, you can't do this. We own this property. And obviously it's not like that now. You see clips all over the place, with YouTube, it kind of got away from them, but they got mad at me because I was offering something that you couldn't find anywhere online to look at highlights or anything like that. So
I'm not allowed to. I just tried to share a link. You're definitely not allowed to share links in the chat, are you?
I don't.
I probably got blocked with the porn bots like 3 years ago.
You could just text it to me.
I was sending somebody asked what's the league, and I had the Wikipedia page for it. I'll send it to you. Or just search Mountain West Hockey League. That's all it is. But yeah, interesting enough that they have a Wikipedia page.
Well, here's the actual league. Let's share what I've got here.
I tried to get Shearhorn to come out of retirement and put on the pads, but he's only good for like a Christmas skate or something when the boys are back in town.
So this is their official play. Did you think they're wiki or?
Well, yeah, I tried to send the wiki, but yeah, they got the official site too, and
What gets your attention there?
There's a studio. There's a studio network.
Here's the wiki.
You're going to be tuning in now for sure.
Yeah, there's the wiki. There you go, folks. Ray Donk. Who's Ray Donk now? You guys still up? That's what we do. Sleep. Who needs it? I took a nap earlier.
Yeah.
We probably should call it a night. It's weird. It's a Tuesday.
Uber's 7 minutes away, just so you know. Uber Eats, not Uber. We're not going anywhere.
Uber Eats.
What did you order?
I did get Santana's.
Oh my goodness. It's living the dream right there.
Look at that. We got 7 minutes to kill then, and then Jack's got to go eat.
Gotta go get that. Oh, I love it.
Oh, I think our longest show is over 3 hours. I want to say we have had a show that went over 3 hours.
So, Jack, what's been the feedback from your old teammates about your new radio gig? Have you been getting chirped at all during the games? Do you get like scouting reports? What's going on there?
I didn't get a lot of feedback from from teammates, I did get like walking around. So I mean, the first Friday, Saturday, it went better than I expected, but it was still rusty, or like my first time doing it. Like then the next weekend was better, but it was kind of cool walking around the rink and just people telling you like, anybody that's working or people in the elevator or attendants, like they're listening to the game, they're not watching it. They're like, great job last night. And I'm like, oh, it's freaking cool. And like my dad texted me. Well, first of all, I told my wife, I'm like, when I went to the first weekend, I was like, don't listen. I don't want you to listen. I don't want anybody that I know to listen.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I get home and she's like, I listened, like you did great. And I'm like, oh, she did. And then the next weekend she shared it with her family and like my parents. She's like, hey, tune in, Jack's listening. And my dad texted me. He's like, and he told me, he's like, great job. Like I like listening, like listening to you than like NHL commentators I've listened to in the past. And I was like, freaking sweet. Like that one was good. So it was.
Let me tell you, you get animated up there and it's awesome.
Well, it's like Wally and
okay,
off each other.
I see Eric and I see Rossini and either Tanner Hoops. They're all sitting down. They're all just kind of doing their thing. You're standing up. You're ready to go. I think we need a camera on you for the game.
Well, you were up there snapping photos of me in like the third period.
I don't think I got anything. I don't think I did take any while you were animated.
Yeah, I'm trying to stay dialed in. It's pretty close, but yeah,
I'll do it this way. I'll just come up real close.
Yeah. Like I know when I noticed it was only 4 games, but like when I like stand up, like sometimes I would sit back down between a whistle or something like that. But like if there'd be a break, like I'd pop up out of my seat because that would get Wally fired up, and then like he gets fired up and I get really fired up because he gets so excited. So it's fun feeding back and forth, and like he makes it pretty easy. You could send a kindergartner in there and they'd be able to do it with Wally. So
well, I mean, back in the days when Glenn was doing it, Wally was basically doing everything. And then Frank came along and really helped him out because, Frank could do ad reads and he's doing all this other stuff. And then that's kind of what you guys need to slowly get into as well. It's not just the analyst. It's like, oh, I have an ad read. I got to read right at this point and things like that. It'll become second nature to you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the tough thing is like wasn't really a training, right? So I mean,
right.
It's
yeah,
like trying to fill the shoes of a legend. We got a bunch of guys doing it, but there's not a lot of training, and just kind of get there and do it. And Wally has like a game sheet that breaks everything down, so every single commercial break, like 2 minutes, this, that,
okay.
that. So if I didn't have that, I'd probably be really stressed out the whole time. But I'm like, okay, we got 30 seconds here, and then we got 2 minute break. We got that, so that helped out. But I was like, put on the headset and go, and I was like, okay. So I'm sure there'll be a little bit of that this weekend. But once I get the game notes in my hand and I start writing down notes, like that calms me down. And I surprised myself that once I'd write something down, I remembered it pretty well, which I wasn't expecting that. But if I wrote down, something about more, like I was like, oh, boom, like I remember that. So that surprised me a lot.
I think you'd be good at it too, Viggs.
Never done it. It's always.
I think you'd be good at it.
It's always harder than you think it would be.
I know, but I think podcasting has helped.
Maybe someday. My weekends are pretty full these days.
Well, yeah.
Doing anything. I think as my kids get older, it'd be fun to do like high school games. Like I popped on to the pull tab.
You did
Tuesday night high school game where they had Stillwater and Wiper Lake, and that was kind of fun.
That was actually a day game, wasn't it? It was during the day.
Yeah, it was, and Pete Wagoner, who does that for like a living, and he's partnering with John King. So, doing something like that someday would be fun. And I look at my calendar though, and I'm just like, how much time do I have?
Maybe when the kids
are
older.
Yeah, so maybe someday it'd be fun. It's always fun listening to you guys and see what you come up with. So.
Yeah, I try to throw you guys on too. The only thing that sucks is it's such a delay.
Yeah,
especially when you're at the game.
Yeah. I still try to listen at least a couple of periods just to check in when I'm there. So I'm hoping to be there Saturday. I might have a kid in tow, so that could be fun. So
right on.
Let's go.
Yeah.
You brought him down to the media availability not too long ago. That was great.
Yeah, he was like, Dad, can we do that again sometime? Like, I don't want to abuse it, but maybe. So it was a fun experience for him. So
Speaking of Frank, you playing on retirement to your show? I don't think Frank would want to come on. He's retired now.
He's enjoying it.
He is. He did come out a couple weeks ago with us. It was nice to see him. It was a fun night. It was one of those Saturday nights. The Saturday nights are great now because, obviously the game starts at 5. We're we're having a meal at a normal hour and not much later. It's like a lot of times we're going home at 10 o'clock instead of midnight. So I'm kind of liking these early Saturday games, except for 2 weeks ago when they had a bunch of other stuff going on at the same time and getting in was a bitch.
Are you going to head out there? Or are you going to be there Saturday night after?
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, I think it's my last scheduled one of the year. I probably should boot the ice fishing with a -20 and go out with the guys.
that's a tough environment unless you have a really good setup.
Yeah. No,
There'll be other ice fishing days.
I'm prepared for it. Like my wife got me a -20 sleeping bag this year for the ice camping and stuff.
Jeez.
I wanted to do that in like a cooktop thing to cook. So I'm dialed in, but it's tough to
Man.
Yeah.
I must say you gave me some great insight. We were the last game you called, well, actually it was the Friday game. Renzel took one off the knee. I'm like, he could barely get off the ice. And you kind of pulled me aside. You goes, it's not so bad as you think. It's like the worst pain when you get hit there, but you recover from it so quickly. Because when he went off, I'm like, oh, did we just lose Renzel for a couple months? Because he literally could not put any weight on it.
Yeah, it's a weird
and
thing.
I love that insight because you've been there. You're like, you know what? He'll probably be back the next second. I'm like, are you kidding me? And sure enough, it's exactly what happened.
Yeah, it sucks getting one off the knee. There is no it's the thinnest half-inch layer of just foam on the side.
Right on the side, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, and you'd think they'd change that, but that would affect your mobility and whatever. But you think about that because dropping one knee is such a common shot block thing. But yeah, it's like top 5 worst pains I've ever had in my life. So knock on wood, fortunate that's the worst thing. But does it?
Hopefully that doesn't happen in Vail.
Yeah, you want to.
Well,
we won't be blocking shots, so I gotta go buy a nut cup too. I don't wear one in men's league.
But the thing is, when you're standing, your hockey pants and your knee pads they cover you well. But yeah, when you go down, your pants come up, the knee goes down, and there's a space even in front and on the sides. It's pretty exposed. Ew.
Yeah, that laying down for block shots and a bad habit I always have, and tons of kids do. The art of shot blocking, we're losing it anyway. But a lot of times I'd go out with my palm open, and you got to teach kids from a young age keep your palm closed back. So because kids is actually protected on the.
You're not fielding a ground ball.
I even can see there. No, it's not even that one. I don't know why I'm pointing it down. This one, look at it's kind of gross. There's no nail. It's
ow.
That's a puck that so gloves don't do the best for you at the end of the day, anyways. When it's an 80 mile an hour,
especially on this side, but this side should offer some. I mean, it's padded on that side, but
yeah, and defensemen, at least in the coast, I had extra. It's like an armor plate that goes on the back side of your glove too.
Okay.
So it's a legit armor plate, and then if you take a close look, they're getting better now. But if you take a close look at guys' skates, they have the shot blockers and stuff. Like that.
Yeah, are they wearing? I noticed them a couple of years ago. More of those plastic type of covers. Are they more integrated in the skates now? Or I guess maybe I haven't looked, but
yeah, they're molds that you actually stick on to the sides of the skates now, and they're way more sleek because you could definitely the plastic ones you could clip your feet on. I think those ones probably do offer a lot more protection, but they're ugly, they're clumsy, and I think you can trip yourself on. So
yeah, as you get into a deep turn, they often clip the ice.
Exactly.
I see.
Yep. All right, my Santana is sitting at
There
my
you
door.
go.
Yep.
Just hold on a second though.
Go get your Santanas.
But stay online. We're gonna end the show, but we need your video to upload. So don't go anywhere. There you go. That's exactly what we need him to do.
He's hungry. Hungry man.
He is.
Thanks,
Oh, good.
everybody, for hanging out. 5:30. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that is. Good night, folks. We'll catch you next week.